Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the Vortex, and that is episode number 159. And I was once asked to be the decider. I couldn't choose, and then it came full circle, and I just said no. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
And I am a decider.
You are?
I decide everything about this show.
He is the Claw. The Claw decides who will stay and who will go.
How are you
Actually,
guys?
I decide about as well as they did on the episode of Full Circle. I just kind of let it happen. Procrastinate just about as much as possible. I'm Glenn.
Yikes.
Sean, how was your week?
My week was good.
Did you enjoy not having any school?
I'm still enjoying not having any school or
No
any
school,
internship.
no work. Oh, wait.
So I still did a lot of work. It's finally started to slow down, so I'm able to clean and organize.
When does school start back up?
Probably next week. I don't know.
Might want to look into that if you don't know. Are you enrolled?
I'm enrolled.
Okay.
I have a spot secured. My academy days are so far away right now. Could care less. What did I do this week? I in a brief bout of free time, which seemed so unusual for me, I sat down and played Injustice, Gods Among Us, and beat the story arc.
Nice.
Something very, very satisfactory about that game. I like it.
Did you play as a certain character?
I just played the story arc, so it kind of rotates out through all of them.
Ah.
And it's really kind of a clever... Once again, I have to give them props, because you don't expect story in a Mortal Kombat-esque game. It's just like, yeah, it's a fighting game, bring it on. The idea is that the Joker has detonated a nuke and wiped out Metropolis, and it was triggered because he tricked Superman into doing it. And not only did he kill Metropolis and 6 billion people and this, that, and the other thing, one of the people at Ground Zero was Lois Lane and Superman's unborn child. Superman went a little nuts and imposed this totalitarian regime on the planet, and we're going to wipe out everything, and you will have peace if I have to force it down your throat. This isn't an alternate universe, but our world Joker attempts the same thing, and at the last minute before the bomb goes off, several of the heroes are jerked into this alternate reality where all this has already happened. So they're all like, what did we do? Is this time travel? Is this what is the deal? And they begin to learn, as you progress through the game. Actually very clever, I thought, to give you a reason to fight these people. Mm-hmm. But I enjoyed that. And then we had a family date night on Saturday, because I opened. And after I got off work, we went and saw Frozen.
Oh, what did you think?
Oh my God, it's amazing. It's probably one of the best Disney movies, I don't know, maybe ever. It's got phenomenal music. It's totally not what I expected because I'm sorry, did you see the previews for Frozen? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's not really about the dumb snowman.
Well, the teaser was about the dumb snowman.
That's all I ever saw.
The main trailer I saw much more focused on the princess and the queen.
In fact, we took Katrina because she's still at that. She'll watch cartoons, and now she's actually kind of starting to get engrossed in at least some of the story aspects of it. I don't think she really comprehends everything, but she'll watch them. And she's free. So it's like, yeah, bring her along with you. So we went and saw it. I was unprepared. I had no idea. I mean, I think my first tip-off was the Infinity figures. They released the 2 princesses, and I'm like, there are people in this movie? I thought it was about a snowman and a reindeer. I had no clue.
So you only saw the teaser then? I
only saw the teaser. But I just thought, it'd be a fun family thing we'll go do. And we used, Glenn gave us gift cards. So let's go use Glenn's gift card. And it's just incredible. It's just so good. And Katrina sat there like this through the whole thing. Now, that's not totally accurate because it was a very packed theater, which surprised me. I did not. It's a Saturday night, but for as long as this thing's been out,
it was number 1 last week.
Yeah,
and it was been out for 7 weeks.
It's still. Which
did it take first this time?
By the way, Note to the Disney executives, I know you guys are Disney and you have this multi-zillion-dollar marketing campaign for stuff like this. Apparently it's not working really well because I never saw anything but the teaser with the dumb snowman in it. But
It was still number 2 this week.
this cross-promotion that you've got going by sucking that polar vortex down to get people into theaters, I get it. We're done, okay? We're frozen. I see what you did there, and you can stop. Today wasn't too bad.
Today was gorgeous.
Today was gorgeous. I wish I wasn't working today. Anyway, so
It's been a good day for disc golf.
we had it was full. So
Why didn't you call me?
I was busy.
I would have gone. I'd have left work. I'm going to
You're
take a long
busy, too.
lunch.
I thought that to myself of while I was off doing other things. Oh, this would have been a great day for disc golf.
But so it was full theater. So Katrina's sitting on Mel's lap, and then I went got snacks and came up and I got the large popcorn. So we put that in front of Katrina. Yeah, she ate the large popcorn. Like, I didn't realize it until I went and reached into the popcorn and had to go all the way down into the bottom of the bucket to get some corn. And I looked over at her, and while she's sitting here like this, she's going, just shoveling it. And I looked at Mel, and Mel looked at me. We took the bag, took it away from her, and she was like, okay. I went back to watching the movie. Later, she complained that her belly hurt.
Mason did that, and he actually threw up after the theater.
Oh, man.
Yeah, later that night.
Parent of the year right here. So did Grandpa feel bad when she was complaining about her belly hurts? No. Grandpa was saying, do you want some popcorn? And she looked at me and went, yeah, I want popcorn.
She's not old enough to put it together
You
yet.
haven't learned this yet, have you?
How old was Mason when he did that?
Just 6 months ago, so he was 5.
Oh, well,
Yeah, he's bigger than...
yeah.
Well, and then I was not in charge of the drink. I don't know if she had her own drink or that was outside my own very possibility. But at some point in time, Mel leaned over to the movie, just like what? Apparently, she wet all over.
She what?
Katrina wet on her.
Oh.
Just and she had to sit through the rest of the film. And
So it wasn't a good movie experience for Mel.
Yeah, that's oh man! So we went right home, put him in the shower. It's like, okay, you girls go take a bath. I'll be over here. But yeah, that movie is probably. I'm still going to put Gravity as my top film of last year, but Frozen's a very close number 2. And don't listen, Chrissy. It's going to be up for several little gold statues come next month.
Frozen will?
Yeah,
It already won a Golden Globe.
yeah.
Best animated.
It's going to win several Oscars. For sure, it's going to win song, probably score. It's going to win Best Animated Picture, and I would not be at all surprised if it manages to pull out. They may nominate it for Best Picture.
I doubt it, because they added that animated category, so none of those can get past that hurdle now.
Yeah, but
That's the Academy going, oh, well, this already gets put here, so we can find something else. We can find something crappier to nominate for Best Picture.
surely there's 9 other films that we can throw into this category now. But yeah, that was my week. So, what'd you do?
You wanna go?
Somebody go.
I didn't do much. Kids had basketball game yesterday morning. That's why I wasn't on Friday Night Who again this week. And finally took the Christmas tree down. 2 weeks into January. It wasn't a matter of I didn't want to take it down or just hadn't taken it down. It was more of this finally found time this weekend to take it down. So I got that done, and then that's pretty much it. We've been playing Minecraft. The kids are hooked on these Minecraft videos where this guy, it's kind of a video podcast-ish thing where he does these things in his Minecraft world and records them, and then so we watch those, and they're pretty kid friendly, so that's kind of a nice thing.
That's what you were saying last week, that you guys were really getting into it.
Yeah, it's
I downloaded the demo.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, like 10 minutes in, I'm like, man.
Yeah, if I were playing by myself, I might have an issue with it, but playing with the kids is a lot of fun because it's something we can all do.
It's good podcasting material. Or audio. What's the word?
Audio listening?
Yeah, one of those.
I got Mario
What?
Galaxy for that.
What is it?
A good audio listening
For when you're
activity.
listening to the
I
Big Finish
see.
stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I never thought of that. I'm usually listening and arguing with the kids, so that wouldn't do me any good. And then I finally finished, what's available now for Doctor Who Legacy, so I'm done with Series 6.
You finished everything?
Yeah. So I'm
He hasn't unlocked everything.
I'm going back and
levels.
dropping characters, but I'm done. I mean, I unlocked everything and finished Series 6, so...
I didn't mention, but
so I'm sitting there with Chrissy because I think she's done with hers too.
After your impassioned soapboxing last week, I paid for the fan area.
Oh, good.
And so unlocked that, and then I also unlocked.
What do you think? Is that the fan area worth it?
Yeah, for $5, totally, absolutely. I agree with you. It's it's a bunch of extra levels, and they vary in degrees of. I mean, it actually says I like this. It says easy, medium, hard.
Yeah.
And it's like okay, I know what I'm getting into here. But I also, first time out of the box, I dropped Fan Churchill and dropped Fan Ood Sigma.
So did you get a crystal while you were in there, too?
And got several crystals.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, I think I got
totally
2 out of that. So, yeah. So it's totally worth $5. I mean, the whole game was worth $5, so that's a lot.
And that's what made me rash, because I think... Looking at the fan area and kind of going, I got to spend $5 on that. I probably wouldn't, but it wasn't until you actually said it that the game itself was worth $5. It's like, oh yeah, that's true. I've certainly gotten $5 worth of enjoyment out of it so far. So,
well, now you got some crystals that'll help you in Series 6. Trust me. I had to continue a few times on a couple of levels that I just.
It's just the timed ones. Those are the ones I keep stumbling over.
Did I tell you? I wish it had been. I wish it had been Goldfinger, but it wasn't. But I counted down to 3 seconds left. This red 003, and I literally was huffing and huffing, and I hadn't started over. I hadn't used a crystal or anything, and I blow through this and I blow through it, and I'm getting. And then finally, I got to this one part of it. I don't remember if it had angels or what it had in it, but it was just I was just so slow. And it was that last level, and it had already ticked over to 100 seconds before I even got to this level. And I kept sitting there going, I'm not going to beat this. I'm not going to beat this. I'm not going to beat this. And I was fighting it and fighting it and fighting it. And it's counting down. And then it goes into the, I don't remember at what point, 50, where it turns yellow. The timer turns yellow. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is it. And I was at the point where I was resigned that I was done. I was just going to play it out. And then they kept stunning. Boom, boom, boom. Everybody's stunned. So I've got that nice little combo I've worked out, that combination. And all the way down to the end. And then I saw the 3 people that I needed to do that combo were not stunned, and I went, and I did it really quick, and everybody's gone. 3 seconds. I was like, wow. So that was the closest I've ever come to running out of time on, and I still haven't run out of time on a timed level yet, but
wow.
Yeah. Those are the ones that, maybe I'm plotting too much, but those are the ones that keep tripping me up, but
I don't know,
I just keep getting killed.
A lot of times, though, I'll start it and not realize it's a timed level. It's just the next level.
Yeah,
and so I start playing, and it's not until
I
happen to look up in the corner and went, oh, what do you mean 30 seconds? Oh, man. I didn't know this one was timed.
You're playing while you're doing other things?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing is that I make sure if I get into a time level, it's not one of those ones that I'm setting my phone down and doing something else and then going back to it.
Yeah.
I'll definitely run out of time if I do that. Of course, most of them say time attack on them, so I know. Oh yeah, I know not to go.
It's totally my fault, not the game's fault. I should be. You notified me in advance. This is okay. I did actually I stopped in the middle of one on my iPad and I hit the power button, just to mute the screen down. I had to go do something else. I came back, picked it back up, turned it back on, and started playing again. And that's when I looked up and went 298 seconds. I was like, I was like, well, thank God the timer stopped when the game stopped.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, it did.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that.
So just put your device to sleep?
Yeah.
I'll try that, I guess, if I have to, because if I get into a timed match.
Either that or
like I said, I haven't had a problem until that one where I almost ran
Either that
out.
or it was a really long timer, because I was away for, it wasn't like a 5-minute deal. It was a...
Were you able to beat the level?
No, I had to spend a crystal on it after. But you know what? I don't care, because I was a hoarder and I've got like 30 some odd time crystals, so I don't mind blowing them on those.
That was the funny thing is Holly's just finished Series 7 because she sat there for hours. I think I told you this last week. She sat there for hours and hours and hours trying to beat the last level.
It took me a really long time.
Finally, I walked over there and she goes, "You got to help me with this. It's just you." I'm like, okay, do that. All right, you got a really good team. Okay, this is good. And she's playing, and then she just boom, she got pounded. And I was telling her, you got to kill the ice lady because she's the one that's respawning everybody. And so she's done. Boom, dead. And the little thing comes up and says, "You want to use a crystal?" She's got 13 crystals, and I said, "Well, you're going to have to use." She's getting ready to hit cancel. I said, "You're going to have to use one of those." Really? I said, "Yeah, that was the only way I beat it. I think I spent one crystal and got there." Actually, I said, "I think I spent 2 of my crystals." And she goes, "Oh." So well, I've been holding on to those because I wasn't sure what they were for. And I said, "This is what they're for." So she played through it and she beat it. And she goes, "Well, if I'd have known that 2 hours ago, I wouldn't have sat here and played this the whole time. I'd have used crystal."
You told that story or said that about that level however long ago. I was able to sit down next time I played it. Didn't need it.
Oh, you didn't need it.
I didn't need
that's
it.
fortunate. Yeah. Well, see, I
on my first try that time too.
In this series, to beat Series 6, I didn't end up needing it, but it took me a long time. But fortunately, I'm not trying to tout my own skills here, but I've got a team now that's just by luck stumbled across, and I went back and I did so much trying to get characters to drop in Series 7 and clear that out, which I have everybody in Series 7. And I did that so often that I just ended up beefing this team. They're completely maxed out. I have nowhere to go with this team that I have. I can't go any further. So that's a team I go in to get artifacts to go level up other guys when they finally get to, because I have other teams I play every once in a while. But I got really lucky to find this combination, first of all. And second of all, I had them so leveled up that I really kind of blew through 6 a lot easier than I did 7 because these guys were actually very helpful. So I had to deal with poison. Have you guys come across poison yet? When you get into the Rebel Flesh, you know that there's turns. It has a little skull in the craftsman. It tells you how many turns you're going to be poisoned. I'll let you in on something. If you haven't played any of the Rebel Flesh levels, watch out for toxic acid because it has acid fumes. And you know how many turns it hits you for? 999 turns. It doesn't go away unless you have somebody on your team to heal, which I'll give you a little hint. The 8th Doctor, perfect for that. Especially if you max him out, because then the number of combos it takes to get him to that is a lot sooner. Yeah. So I would suggest taking that 8th Doctor or one of the poison healers into those levels.
Is it the Satan Pit that's got that special bonus level in one of the? I've not beaten any of the Advent calendar levels.
One, but I haven't gone back and played them.
And one of them was it was the Satan Pit level, I think, with the Beast, and I got poisoned, and I noticed it kept going and
just shoots down.
Yeah.
But you find yourself at that point, yourself healing there all the time. Well, you spend so much time healing to keep yourself up through all of those levels. You're not doing any damage. And then by the time that was the annoying thing is I had one of the levels where the silence was poisoning me, and it was four turns, which was manageable. I could keep alive. The problem is I was staying alive the whole time and then by the time it came around, they attack, and by the time their ability had cycled through again, so then they poisoned me again. So then there's another 4 turns, which I'll give everybody another little hint. If you're playing this and you don't realize this, the poison, if they double up the poison on you, doesn't increase the damage that's done, luckily. Just the length. So if somebody's got 4 turns on you and then the next guy puts 4 more turns on you, you're at 8 turns, but it's not taking any more health each time. So,
that sucks.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Well,
because it lengthens the time, but 8 turns does suck.
At least it's not doubling the amount of damage.
That's just it, because that's what I'm doing is I'm trying to get combos to activate the ability of the 8th Doctor so that I can get rid of that. Because that's another thing I will do is if I've got 3 guys and they've all got a poison turn, I'll let them all get their poison turns out and then heal, because that takes everything away. Yeah. That takes all the turns away. And so I don't have to worry about having to re-combo again to get him up there. So anyway,
putting my device to sleep did pause the timer.
Okay. Yay. Well, I'll remember that. I haven't had a problem with that, but I've just been consciously
going... That's my helpful hint for the game. Put the game to sleep.
No, I'm not playing that one until I can sit down. Anyway,
what helps you?
That was
the game down.
That was pretty much all we did this weekend. And then I caught up on Sherlock this week, so I'm all caught up. I've got one that aired today to watch now. So, and we're going to review Doctor Who Legacy eventually. So
yes,
hang in there.
What'd you do?
I rewatched Man of Steel.
Yeah, I saw your tweet.
I really liked it.
Yeah, I liked your tweet. Oh, did you? Are you going to loan that to me?
You are so delusional.
No, it's...
Yeah, you are.
Just because the flavor is not the same.
The flavor's not
Talk about the point you brought up to me.
There's a point that a lot of people on the internet seem to harp on is the big fight between Zod and Superman, or Kal, at the end.
He is Superman.
Well,
it's okay to
at
say
that
that.
He can't even call him
It's okay to say
Superman.
that.
That's
See,
how much the flavor is different.
Really? Well, they're not calling him Superman until, I guess, by that point they are calling him Superman.
Yeah,
But it
by that
bothered me
point
that
they
the
are.
subtitles, like, early on were calling him Superman. I'm like, but he's not Superman. I like the different approach for Superman. But one of the biggest complaints about the final fight is how many people they supposedly kill in that fight and how much damage is done. You don't see anybody. They fly through those buildings. You see inside the buildings, there's no one in there. They've evacuated the city during that entire fight. It's not until they're in the train station and he has to snap Zod's neck to kill somebody that you
Spoilers.
actually see somebody.
Just because the Peoples is not there does not mean there was no Peoples there.
I assume
And-
I can extrapolate because they're trying to get out, and this disaster has already been going on for how long now?
How many people were killed in the initial gravity blast?
Well, that's not Superman's fault. He's on the other side of the world trying to stop.
Yes, it is
that
Superman's
gravity
fault.
blast.
Because Superman didn't turn himself over to begin with.
Well, by the time the gravity blast, he'd already turned himself over to humanity.
Yeah,
and
to humanity,
police.
not to the people who were looking for him.
Well, and then they handed him over. He was already
No.
up in Zod's ship
No.
and back down to
No.
Earth by the time the gravity blast
It
started.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
don't defend it. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it does. You need to watch it
I
with
have
less
watched
clouded lenses.
I have watched it since. I've watched it on Blu-ray. It is a fabulous looking movie. It is a great. It's a great science fiction film. It's a phenomenal action flick. It's just not Superman.
It's not the Superman you're used to.
No, it's not the Superman I want either.
Well, there's that.
It's that darker
See, and
tone, and I don't
I
want
think
it.
Not the Superman you want. It's the Superman
Sounds-
you deserve.
God, I hope not.
It's a Superman for the times. More.
You know
than-
what? Honestly, what it reminded? We just finished watching Justice League this week, the anime Justice League Unlimited, the anime cartoon show. What it reminded me of? There are episodes in Justice League where Project Cadmus is running around trying to eliminate the Justice League because, well, they're too powerful and they're gods and they're up there on the watchtower and they're looking down on all of us and they have super weapons and superpowers, and if any one of them went bad, we'd be screwed. So Project Cadmus's whole goal is to destroy the Justice League and get rid of them. Not because they're bad, but because they might get bad. Mm-hmm. And dealing with all this stuff, Superman finally gets fed up. And he charges into the Cadmus headquarters and he knocks down a couple of walls and starts blowing stuff up. And it's like, Man of Steel. I pointed at the TV and went, this is what's wrong. This isn't Superman. He's not good guy Superman. He's unstoppable force Superman doing something he shouldn't be doing. It just brought the whole thing back up. And I wasn't even thinking about Man of Steel at the time. I was watching Justice League. I was watching animated Superman, quite happy. And it upset me. It just doesn't work.
I'm still saying there aren't the flaws that people say there are in it because they remember it wrong.
I don't have the same flaws that other people have.
No,
Everybody
you have different complaints about it. Than
Yeah,
most people do.
everybody complains he shouldn't have zapped Zod. I got no problem with him killing Zod. I have no problem with it. If Superman has to kill somebody to save somebody else, he'd do it. End of story. Live with it. But that was small potatoes compared to what was wrong with the film. Anyway,
I'm just saying
we've
that
discussed
there
that.
wasn't as many people in danger in the final fight that people said. Lynn's gonna go back and rewatch it and come back and be like, he's totally right.
That's why I'm being quiet.
Because they've evacuated the city, and I didn't see
I
any
can see
people
that.
in the
Why
building.
do you think there are so many people in the train station?
They fly all over the city. It's not just the site of the disaster.
Well, no.
It's all. Let's talk collateral damage, and let's not talk lives. Let's talk a dollar amount of damage that they did to that town.
No, Zod did more damage to the entire town than Superman and Zod did because of that stupid gravity thing. Which the idea behind it, yes, is stupid because they're superhumans now. Why turn it and make you normal human?
I don't. I will say this: the gravity thing totally gets my vote for one of the top 10, probably top 5, maybe top 3 science fiction inadvertent weapons of all time. Because it's doing a job. It's converting the core and doing this terraforming thing. But man, you could drop that off anywhere and wipe people out. If I was a general and had that in my arsenal, I wouldn't even look for Superman. I'd have showed up and go, boom, I'll turn it off when you surrender. I mean, come on. Has anybody seen the damage this thing does? That was awesome.
See, but the reason I also came to the Discovery is because I remembered it differently in the fact of, like, the stuff with Perry, right?
Perry
Lawrence
White.
Fishburne, yeah. All that stuff, I remembered it during the fight, but that's during the gravity stuff.
Yeah, they don't break away from the fight once the fight starts.
Yeah, I for some reason thought they did when I remembered it.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean there were no people in Metropolis.
Well, you don't see.
There's 6 billion
Superman
people
didn't
in
see
Metropolis. I'm pretty sure some of them were still there in those buildings.
Well, idiots that should have evacuated when the thing showed up.
Oh, like the cops. You know, the ones directing traffic, getting the rest of the civilian population
but you
out
don't-
of
you
harm's
still
way.
don't, you don't still don't
Just
see
because
any
you
of
don't
them.
see him doesn't mean it's not there.
Then that's very bad CG effects when you're inside buildings and they're evacuated. That tells me there's no one there.
Why animate a person?
Because
The building's going down anyway.
no, they're
I'm
flying
sorry.
inside.
If I'm a computer animator,
computer
I really
room.
don't want to sit there and put a little guy screaming in front of the window as the thing goes. I don't have time for that. I got 5 more buildings to knock down after this one.
Fixed it in my mind.
What else did you do?
Sarah's coworkers had a little get together Saturday night, and Friday I had the day off because of Saudi's birthday, so we had birthday party at Going Bonkers. Yay. It's better than Chuck E. Cheese.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, I totally agree.
yeah. Pizza's not any better, but so there was that. I spent my Friday and most of my Saturday relaxed, not doing much. Beat God of War Ascension finally. It was good. And then they had a work party on Saturday night, and we went over to Danielle, one of her coworkers, and we played Settlers of Catan.
That's a fun game.
It is
It's
fun.
a fun
I
game.
really liked it. Did you know there's a Star Trek version of it?
I did not.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah. But now we're thinking about we might have to buy a copy, a copy of it so you can play it, and you can also play it online. Did you know they had the online version where you can play against people
I didn't know
on the
that.
computer? It could be a dangerous.
You should buy the real version so that I have some place to go to take Holly to play it because I
Oh,
can't.
yeah.
I can't buy it because she's not. She thinks it's a geek game that she wouldn't get into, and I keep explaining to her, no, it's really more of just a strategy board game.
Yeah, it
and
really is.
I think you didn't like it, and so if you guys bought it and then invited us all over to play
Oh,
it,
yeah.
then she would be able to get it.
Well, we can't do it this Saturday because we're invited over for Monopoly.
Which is supposed to be the post-show stuff.
What?
Oh, I spoiled it. Didn't I?
Oh,
Unfortunately, it's only three or more players, and there's a 2-player version, and it sucks.
yeah.
Apparently,
I've
so
heard.
that's the downside.
Settlers of Catan, not Monopoly.
Yeah, Settlers of Catan. Well, Monopoly is not that.
I've
great.
only played it once, but I
2-player.
had a blast.
Yeah, we
I played it
we
in
ended up
Sedalia
playing
one
2
time.
games back to back, and I think I started to get the hang of it, and it was a lot of fun.
What's another thing is it's only about a 30-minute game. I mean, it's not this
Well,
huge,
depending on-
long, gigantic game.
Depending on who you play with.
Well, I suppose that's probably true.
This is
but-
the one with the.
We started at shortly out, well, probably around 7:30, and our game ended around 9.
Oh, wow. Then
Our
you went a
first game?
lot longer than... Well, I suppose when you first start learning. But everything that
the first
says
game for
about it says-
first people is always longer
that-
because you're learning how to play it.
Yeah, online and everything that
Ours-
describes it says it's a 30 to 45-minute game, average game. So...
See, I thought I saw 60 to 90 on the box.
Oh, well, maybe it does. Maybe I'm
But
misquoting that,
we had enough people that we had 2 different games going at the same time, because it's only a 4-person game.
Right.
So our game still lasted longer than the other teams.
This is the one where you get the
It's
the
like
tiles and the
octagonal
castles and the there's
you build roads and
maybe this isn't the one I've
settlements
played
and
then.
cities, and
You got hubs, and you build roads out from those hubs, and the hubs are the settlements, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's not the one
Right.
I've played. I don't know the
And
one
then
I've
you
played.
build
is.
roads out with 2 different areas and settle different areas, and that becomes a hub. And then
That sounds like Civilization, the board game.
it's a little like Civilization.
Cool,
yeah,
I like Civilization.
but different. But different.
that's what it looks like.
No, I haven't played that one yet. I don't remember
It's
the name of
fun.
the one I
I don't
played.
think you were there in Sedalia when we played. When
I
Sean
could have
showed
sworn
it
you
to us,
played
and
that
Stovall
with
showed it
Patrick
to us.
one night.
I would. That's what I
After-
thought we were doing, but that must have been a different game because it's not that one.
I think Patrick would like this one, though.
I'd be surprised if Patrick didn't already own that one.
That's true. And there are all
Well,
sorts of
tap on the
extensions.
ceiling, call him down, and after we're done recording, we'll play a quick game.
Thump, thump, thump. You up?
And there are all sorts of expansions you can do, and there's even expansions to add more players.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
Cool.
Of course, they cost extra, but, you know. And then today we had a little birthday celebration for Audie with just the family, and then relax the rest of the day.
Are you back Monday?
I am back Monday. It was a nice 3-day weekend.
Oh, I'm sure.
I really haven't had a laid-back weekend, and I don't know how long, so it was
Good.
nice
You always
to
have like Christmas plans or other plans or
stuff I really need to do.
Yeah.
And I was able to just chill.
It's always nice.
Yes. I think that's it.
Cool. All right. Shall we move on to news?
News.
What is in the news today, Keith?
Well, Series 8 started filming.
Yeah, there's been some nice set pics
Yeah.
floating around online. Although the funny thing is, of all the set pics I've seen, the only one I've seen
There's only
of Capaldi
there's only the official one that's
is
been
the
up
official
Capaldi.
one. So I think a lot of that filming that people were seeing and snapping themselves was probably kind of that peripheral stuff. That it
Yeah.
wasn't.
It didn't look like anybody
Awesome,
actually
so.
acting. It was like them standing there and waiting.
Well, they had this.
I
They
got
had a
the
scene with
impression.
Vastra and somebody else that you could.
spoilers.
Strax. That
The
spoilers.
Well, and some human too.
Yeah, and then there was a
bowler.
bunch of humans
Yeah.
in the pictures that I saw, but like some bobbies and some constable. But yeah, so there's that. I mean, those are floating around out there if you want to take a look at them, and that's exciting. And then also
The official picture, which I didn't quite pick up on it, but somebody photoshopped it with the promotional picture of Joe and 3. Have you seen that one? It's
No.
Pertwee pointing off camera.
no, is it right? Or
Yeah.
if they did that purposefully?
I wondered, because when
Well,
they
the Pertwee one is not a promotional. It's a actual.
it was it?
Yeah, from. I want to say it was from Green Death. Is where that one.
We're sure it wasn't a behind-the-scenes
I
picture.
don't think so.
Shot during the filming of Green Death. It's not a still cap.
I seem to remember it, but I remember things that didn't actually happen.
Well, like the one of Tom on the wall. That was promotional. And you thought it was an
I
actual
thought for sure
episode.
that was for years. I thought that one was a real one. So maybe I don't know. Doctor Who's ruined my childhood. I don't know anything.
Well, Radio Times
Well,
and photographers, and then later Doctor Who magazine photographers were always let on the set to be able to do.
Now, see, the top one's definitely
Yeah,
promotional.
the
because
bottom
it's
was a promotional photo as well.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
See, and
I think that was purposefully.
I think it was purposely done too, because the last one of before picking up refilming in Series 7, or picking back up filming in Series 7, the first promotional picture we got of 11 and Clara was that it looked like First Doctor and Susan, that they staged to look like that on
Yeah.
purpose.
Right.
But Moffat has also said that he's essentially confirmed Series 9
Yep.
Yay!
and said that we will not have any breaks
Yay!
in our show runs.
I like that.
So 8 and 9 will be all together.
Not quite.
That's what that means, right?
No break whatsoever. So
We had like 25
we'll
episodes.
run right into 8.
We're going back to
9.
Series 1 territory where it's
it'll-
going to be on all the time.
Yeah.
It'll be like an American television program where we get 20-some episodes in a series.
No, that's not what it means. Before anybody gets too excited.
Oh.
No. 52 episodes.
52 episodes.
The quote is, when asked if there are plans for Capaldi's first run as the Doctor to be uninterrupted, he states, yes, there absolutely is. And we're not going to do splits, and the same format will repeat exactly the following year like that. So it will be the traditional form.
Good stuff.
Good
Yay.
stuff.
Excited.
No
there's
breaks.
still digestives?
are.
There's still digestives?
I was looking at them at Brits.
Were they expensive at Brits?
I didn't look at the price. I was just looking at them. And actually, where was I? I was someplace else. I was looking at them. They have one that comes in a resealable container, like a little cardboard tube. Like
I
Pringles.
think I saw them at Dylan's that way.
That might
Yeah.
be where I saw them.
I saw them there. Yeah.
Random, sorry.
Off topic.
Sorry, I just found an interesting piece of news that I think is kind of interesting. Can I read this?
Sure.
Good, thanks, Glenn.
It's not going to stop you from reading.
No, thanks for deciding that, Glenn. Glenn the
And by
decider.
telling him no doesn't mean he won't be coming up with stuff post pre-show meeting anyway
You
ever
got it.
again. So
An accountant from Somerset who admitted swindling £80,000 from the program budgets of Doctor Who and Casualty has been jailed for 2 years. Oliver Agger pleaded guilty at Cardiff Crown Court to 17 fraud offenses, which were uncovered when he was based at the Roth Lock Studios. He was sacked in October. I just like reading that because it's got that word in it. It's awesome. He was sacked in October 2012. I should be a sports commentator. I'd be really good at that.
Please? Good Lord.
He was sacked by BBC Finance. The 35-year-old of Rock Avenue, Nailsea.
Who was sacked when?
October 2012.
Oh, okay.
He
I
was
was so taken
sacked
by your word of
October of 2012. He was a production accountant for 20 episodes of Doctor Who in 2007 and 2008, and has repaid £30,000 from his pension fund. He was also credited on the Sarah Jane Adventures pilot episode Invasion of the Bane, and will serve 1 year of his prison term before being released on license. Just thought that was kind of interesting. All right, you can go ahead.
Wasn't interesting at all. What else do we have?
Here's something that's not. Here's something else that's not in show notes.
Oh, okay.
In the same DWM magazine article that he talks about Series 8 and the Uninterrupted, he also says Paul McGann is a truly brilliant actor, and he totally gets the Doctor. I loved him, and I loved writing for him. It was an honor and a privilege to provide his final line, and how I paced trying to think of it. But it's time for Doctor Who to get back to what it is and what it always must be. One man, one TARDIS, one whole universe.
I was going to bring that up last week, because that actually came out last weekend.
Oh, did
I
it?
saw that on the list.
So no
I'm
web series,
glad you found that.
So, yep, sounds like... And he continues with, remember those eyes in the day of the Doctor, the frowning brow, the stare? That stare is blazing at you from the future. The time of Capaldi is coming.
Or is he lying to us?
Apparently there's a McGann reaction, but my computer's not wanting to pull it up because the plugin's being stupid.
All right, and the last bit of news is...
Sorry.
Had you not seen that?
No.
Oh.
That's not serious.
Our last bit of news, Keith, is... You brought all the news
Yeah.
this week, so we'll give it all to you.
They've added new things to the Doctor Who experience. Most importantly, Matt Smith's costume along with a walking stick and child's peg gun. From Time of the Doctor.
Matt Smith's walking stick.
And costume.
And costume. And what was the last
a
piece?
child's
I
peg
think it was
gun.
the Doctor's walking stick. And, yes.
Well, I wanted to make sure it wasn't the first Doctor's walking stick, because that's kind of how it rattled off.
Oh.
What was
It
the
was the
third?
11th Doctor's.
And the child's peg gun.
Peg gun.
Yeah, remember he was making toys for the kids.
Also
Ooh, I can't wait
added...
to go see that.
I'm excited to see Handles.
Handles will also
When
be
I
there.
go.
Thanks for spoiling that.
Oh, yeah, Handles is going to be there, by the way.
Handles. Looks like two different versions of Handles. The younger and the older version. I'm not joking.
One is distressed.
One is very distressed, and one is rather shiny. And one looks
The
like has the
younger
seal
and
of
the older
Rassilon
version of
underneath him.
Handles. That's funny.
The longest
that's
serving
his-
Was that the
companion
seal
right
that's
there.
been put in the... that's
No,
the seal
that-
you're talking about that's been added to the...
Yeah.
That's the.
is that the one?
This is the picture from the experience.
And that's the seal that's been
That's
added?
the
seal of
seal.
Rassilon.
That's the one?
That's
you
the
made
recall
it sound
device.
like it was the big old giant 5 Doctors
It's
one.
supposed to be the same device.
Okay, I can see where you're confused.
It's supposed to be the same device.
It's not the seal of Rassilon.
Right.
Well, it's the recall device.
It's the recall
That's
device.
what, yeah.
And it's
okay.
been changed.
And
It's
that's
not the
pretty
same
cool.
recall
It is
device
not the same
because the
recall.
one in 5 Doctors. I'm sorry, this one's much prettier than the one in 5 Doctors.
It's supposed to be the same device.
The one in 5 Doctors kind of looked like a doorbell.
Yes.
It was a big gold thing with a button on it.
Yep.
That was it.
That was pretty much
But
it.
it had Rassilon's...
No, it didn't have-
Yeah,
it was
did.
smooth. It
I
didn't have
remember-
nothing on it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
I
it had
don't remember
Rassilon.
having Rassilon seal.
'Cause
But it might have been on the
Well,
other side.
he's got the
It
special
was-
edition.
It might have been
so.
on the other side.
Back me up, listeners. Because how else? Because the master handing the
So it's
doctor
the
a big
recall
red
button of Rassilon? Is that
recall
what it is
button of
officially
Rassilon.
now?
Do you need to slip in and out of the death zone unnoticed by your constituents? You
Yes,
need the
yes.
recall button of Rassilon.
I'll have everything else. Also added was Punch and Judy tints from... This is all from Time of the Doctor. Clara's costume and Christmas tree from her flat. Victorian-style street lamps from the street scenes. Yep.
Wow.
Handles.
11's not even cold
two
as grave,
versions.
and they're already giving away his stuff.
They were doing that for Day of the Doctor, too.
Oh, so exciting stuff there. Hey, let's move on to some feedback.
Oh, I should beat that up.
Feedback.
We've got
some feedback.
You owe me a nickel. I get a nickel anytime somebody sings the feedback.
I'll pay in kind. I'm fulfilling a void. I'm fulfilling a void that our listeners have pointed out.
I am so warping you.
They have pointed out over the
however long
that we've been
190 some odd
feedbackless or
Feedback
songless, and I don't think we've done one since I did that one, right?
I don't think so.
I like to think that it was just I blew everybody away, and so Sean just doesn't think that he can compete. So
between you and me, yeah.
That's right, because you were before that.
I don't think he's done one since I did one.
I haven't done one. Well, I haven't done one this year.
We're 2 episodes into this year.
He has not done one this year. He's right.
First up, Dr. Phil sends in some audio.
Let's give it a listen. I forgot what we do there.
On Christmas Day, for unto us a child is born, yet we witness the death of a Time Lord. Many a fan will be forlorn, but Peter Capaldi arrives, and you've been warned. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, wonderful winter holiday to everybody at Traveling the Vortex. Dr. Phil reporting in, probably missing and catching up on a few episodes, and I'm sending this in before I listen to your review of Time of the Doctor, because I've kind of stayed away from fandom for a bit, because I think right after I saw the episode, I just saw a lot of nastiness online, and it just made me very angry. Probably kind of like McGann yelling, "Get out!" in Night of the Doctor. But I thought his end was fitting. I think that a lot is too crammed. I think in the end, my feeling is that Series 7 is just kind of a real mixed bag. I'm not sure if in the end I think it holds together. I think Series 5 holds together really well as a whole. Series 6 has got some better highs than Series 5 in some places, but I don't think it's as consistent. And Series 7, while it has great stuff in it, is just as a season or series just not particularly consistent. Although I would say that if anything is a crowning achievement of the series, Day of the Doctor is darn well near perfect. I kind of, maybe I didn't dig Tasha Lem too much, but anyway, I thought the reset of Matt Smith to younger Matt Smith, I guess, was set up in the precedent of David Tennant before he regenerates in the end of time. I thought that the kind of Christmas fable that was the story worked really, really nicely and was very enjoyable. Handles was great, and the fact that even as he's dying, that we get a very funny moment of him reminding the Doctor about the telephone is great fun. Performances all around are really strong, looking very much forward to the era of the 13th Doctor. And looking forward to, since I'm about to start your review episode of that, hearing your opinions. And so sorry to be belated with all of that and catching up now. Been working on a number of projects and be in Indianapolis at the end of the month for some concerts and have a Christmas concept album, I guess, that's still being mixed right now. That's almost done. So when that gets done, I'll make sure to send you guys a link and everything. So anyway, hope everyone has a great new year and has survived the Arctic freeze, planet Reboss that kind of hit the Midwest in the last week and is recovering well. And I don't know, having a good reason to watch The Empire Strikes Back or the Reboss Operation or even Planet of the Ood to think of more of our best snowy Doctor Who episodes can't be a bad thing. So anyway, take care and looking forward to, hopefully catching up. Anyway, take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dr. Phil.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Phil.
That is the appropriate reaction to the fandom that is being negative about the Time of the Doctor.
Get out! It's funny when we reviewed this, I kind of held back because I had read a lot of the negativity over the Time of the Doctor. And I didn't. I as Sean knows, I think I mentioned it when we were here. I was kind of biting my tongue on some of the negative reactions that was out there at the time.
Oh, yes.
Because I thought, you know what, I'm going to move on past that because I was so frustrated with the comments that were online after that I was like, you know what, I liked it. I'm going to look at it as a positive, and I'm going to move on, and I'm not even going to deal with those people. So, Phil, I completely concur, but on the flip side of that, I think we're just going to leave those guys alone, and at times, not everybody's going to be happy.
Yeah, that's true.
And if Doctor Who is not your thing now, don't let the door hit you on the way out, because there have been over 50 years, there have been things that have bothered me about Doctor Who.
Not everyone likes every era
There's
of
things
Doctor
that
Who.
aren't necessarily my cup of tea as far as it goes, and so I'm fine with that.
That's not what
I'm
looks
leaving
like
it behind.
when the third Doctor looks at it.
So anyway, that's my 2 cents on
the golden
negative,
yo-yo over
the
us.
negative fandom. Sean has brought up a picture of the recall switch. That's what we're
Negative fandom sucks.
That's what we're doing off mic that our viewers can't see, or our listeners can't see because they're not viewers. That we continue to do every week. So.
You know, I tried to make them viewers once.
I still want to do that. I just can't think of the feasibility of it.
You seem to think that setting a camera up and recording this was just all too exciting.
Yeah.
It was like Paul McGann. It was deemed unsafe for Whovians. He's just too
awesome.
Too awesome. That's the word.
I told somebody in the store that. Like I had figured it out. That Paul's just too awesome.
All right.
How are we going to wait 20 years before we get another 6 minutes of him?
Oh, thanks, Phil. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Phil. Glad you're not lying in a ditch somewhere. Be safe out
and
there.
you seem to be very behind, so we're excited to hear you catch up. Hey, we did some big finish this week, by the way, so... All right, who's next?
Up next is Holly.
Holly writes, what?
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, because he did the Phil. Never mind. Go ahead. I'm always number 2. That's the only thing.
You go right ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Go right ahead.
I don't care. No.
I was expecting to read it because it's the first written.
Well, we got
Go
another.
ahead.
We got another late one, so you might as well.
I don't want to step on anybody's toes.
Go.
I
That's right. Go. We got a late one, so this will work us out just right. So.
My minifig came in the mail.
No, not that one.
Oh, not that one?
The one before that. All right. Well, maybe we shouldn't let it. Sean have this one.
Oh, wait.
That'll be the second part of Holly's.
Oh, okay. Holly writes 159, Renaissance Man in Full Circle. I never even saw this one. Pardon me. Hey, guys. Love the last podcast. As for the lovely, sarcastic asterisks, little cold spell early last week, I was half considering signing this email, Holly from Hoff. Man,
appropriate.
I mean, I can stand the cold, but this cold was ridiculous. I did not venture out at all on Monday and Tuesday, with the exception of just to poke my head out and get the mail. So, I watched some Doctor Who, listened to some audios, and joined the Doctor Who Legacy bandwagon.
Hi, welcome on board, Holly.
Man, is that game fun. I'm still on Season 7, and man, those Weeping Angels. We'll be so glad for the warm-up that's coming. Hope everyone else who was affected by the cold and snow are starting to thaw out. On to the reviews.
We're finally thawing out this weekend.
Yeah.
Full circle. Romana really seems to be happy that the TARDIS didn't land on Gallifrey. I can't say that I don't blame her, and I think that she enjoys traveling with the Doctor, even if she doesn't want to admit it to him out loud. I'm pretty certain that the Doctor enjoys having Romana along as well. The swamp creatures look like they could be distant relatives of either the creature of the Black Lagoon or Nien Num from Return of the Jedi.
That's 9 Num.
9 Num. 9?
You know why it's 9?
No.
Because that was the 9th design of that particular mask that they made.
Really?
And so they, for the longest time, called that particular mask number 9. That was number 9. That was number 9. So when they went to name it, they incorporated that number 9 into it and called him 9 Num. Number 9.
9 Num.
9.
I did not know that.
Yep. There you go. There's your bit of Star Wars trivia for our Doctor Who podcast.
Where else? From Return of the Jedi. They really didn't gain any brownie points with me after they damaged poor K9.
Yeah.
Interesting plot setup.
I wondered. We'll wait till we review it. But I wondered if Keith was.
I almost stormed off and said, worst episode ever.
He got up off the couch. He threw his laptop down.
I was tweeting in all caps for a while.
I didn't even go. Usually I go back and look at your guys' Twitter stream. I didn't go back this week.
Interesting plot set up with the Deciders and the reveal that the myths really aren't all that harmful and that they can't fly the Starliner. The whole full circle reveal that the Marshmen were actually ancestors of the colonists was a twist I didn't see coming. At least the 2 remaining Deciders just chose to fly off planet. Have to say, for Adric's introduction episode, it wasn't too bad. Romanum calling him on his injury, and then later, when he has no choice but to bring his group of friends back to the TARDIS, he does apologize. And also Adric going against the Doctor's orders and stealing an image translator from the Starlight.
Image translator. You found that, though.
For the TARDIS to use.
We just needed to wait, and Holly would have answered the question.
It's true.
To use after its image translator got damaged, so that he does want to help out. Oh, Holly. Renaissance Man. A good audio story.
Sean's review is forthcoming.
I'll get into it. The whole storyline with seeking of knowledge and how the curator is actually destroying the lives of people that he's taking knowledge from made sense. I liked how the Doctor was able to outsmart the curator by passing off fake information and getting down to the bottom of things. Leela's starting to grow as a character, and I like that the Doctor is encouraging her to continue her learning and asking of questions. Not too much else to say on this one. Looking forward to hearing everyone's thoughts on these 2 stories. Holly from Wisconsin.
Now you can read the second one.
Holly also writes, my minifig came in the mail! Hey guys, I got the 11th Doctor as my prize minifig. I have him in front of my TARDIS cookie jar that I got as a late Christmas gift. Took the picture with the phone because the camera batteries for my camera are MIA. Well,
He looks great.
I'm glad you got him. And, of course, I should mention, Brittany, yours is on its way as well, if you haven't received it already. And London I, yours is also on the way. And I forget London, I think Chris is his name. So it is coming soon. Coming soon.
Oh, wow.
So watch for your mailbox.
Thing. I don't know. Now I'm thinking about it. I don't know what the 5th Doctor's using because 3 steals it.
No, this... Okay,
No,
you're right. This is different.
He gets it from...
No, this is different.
Different.
This is the actual seal of Rassilon that he has as his credentials. The other one is the recall button.
Yes.
That's where I was confused then.
This is the same thing. This is just
No,
the
it
other
isn't.
side. Yeah, the button's on the other side.
No, because he gets both.
3 gets it.
Oh, that's right. No.
He
Yeah,
gives
you're
them
right.
both.
You're right. He does get them.
This is what the Doctor's been carrying around, and it
I
hasn't been changed.
apologize, Keith. You are correct.
Huzzah.
I am more impressed
you're
now that that's
half
the
right,
same...
because it's not the recall.
I was wrong about it being the recall
Right.
device.
Yeah.
Well, I apologize.
But I
It was-
initially called it the Seal of Rassilon, and you guys were confused.
That's true. He did. I jumped all over him because it wasn't the seal of Rassilon.
Are you sure
the
it was
recall
2
device.
different things?
Yeah.
Because I remember it was the
3
same.
ends up with this, and 5 ends up with the other one. Because 5 goes back to Gallifrey's,
Yeah,
3
that's
stays in
right.
the
Yeah,
death
he
zone.
presents
right.
it to him and he says, my credentials. Stolen, no doubt. Or forged. No.
Forged,
Stolen,
yeah.
no doubt. I'll pocket it and return it later.
Right.
Which apparently he
I
did
do
not.
remember them taking that. That's right.
So,
Which the Doctor says nicked it from the Master in the death zone in the episode. When he pulls it out.
yeah, okay.
All right.
I was fixated on the doorbell, but you're right. Okay. Keith fixed it, everybody. The official seal of Rassilon is on display at...
Unfortunately, that kind of ruins the recall device in Time of the Doctor because it doesn't look like that.
No, it does look like that.
No,
That's-
it does, but that's the problem. Is that's not
but
the
he
recall
doesn't say
device.
it's the recall
but
device
he
in
uses
Time of the
that.
Doctor.
But he uses that. Isn't that what he?
He uses it. He sticks
What
it
he
on his
puts in
head. He sticks it on Handel's head
Right.
for him to translate whatever the message is.
Oh, that's right. That's what he uses as a translator.
Yeah,
But that wasn't the recall device.
right. We merged the two
I was
together.
merging the two in my
Yeah.
head together
Yes.
as well. Okay. All right.
2 separate devices.
I got you.
The episode's even cooler now. Holly, your minifig looks great. Glad you got that one.
Yes.
Don't forget London Eye and Brittany that you got to tell us what you got.
Take a picture of it, and let us know what you got. So hopefully you've got yours too. I sent them out like last week, so they should be there soon. Oh, I didn't spend a lot on shipping, so that might be, they're coming slowly
Might be
to
taking
you.
their time.
Yeah, but
We mailed them from Kansas, taking a slow boat to China before they get to Wisconsin.
then they will cross back over the nuclear fallout polluted Pacific Ocean and make it back to you. All right, next up is
Chrissy.
And Chrissy writes, she blinded me with runny science. Dear Vortex boys, I'll be honest, I'm entirely perplexed about the whole polar vortex thing. Did the TARDIS accidentally open the doors in mid-flight from the Ood sphere to the Midwest or something? Out west, we've been experiencing we've been experiencing what's typically called January. I'm writing this paragraph on Friday, which is actually up to 44 degrees, still snowy and chilly, but quite nice in certain spots. That's 44 degrees Fahrenheit for your international listeners. I don't know what the Celsius equivalent. I tweeted out last week when we got the polar vortex that was sitting over our Midwest area, and for the longest time, only our local guys were calling it a polar vortex. None of the national guys. Yeah, Matt was calling it that. Kyle called it that. Locally, that's what they were calling it. And I was watching national news at the same time, and they weren't saying anything about it when it was here. It wasn't until it got to the Northwest and started affecting the national guys that they finally started calling it the polar vortex.
Is that when they named it, too?
But every time... No, because our guys were calling it the polar vortex. Oh, the Weather Channel names everything. They've been doing that for a year and a half.
What is this one?
I don't know. It's stupid. I don't pay attention to their names.
Irene, I think, or something.
You can't name winter storms.
Anyway.
Last year we had Con and Q. It was really awesome.
For winter storms?
Those weren't winter storms, were they?
I thought those were. No, those Winter Storm Con.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Anyway,
so
last week when the polar vortex was over us, I tweeted that every time I hear the word polar vortex, I think of a polar bear standing with a bow tie waving to us from his TARDIS up above. That's just what I kept visualizing every time I heard polar vortex. So, anyway, yes, we dealt with the polar vortex earlier than most of the nation, and now the rest of the nation has it, and suddenly it's a big deal. Everybody's frozen. So.
Maybe we'll see some additional hits on the website since, people are traveling the vortex. People will think,
They're searching vortex, and they're getting to our
Welcome
site.
Weather listeners.
Maybe I should put polar somewhere on our site so that it hits the keyword.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Then it'll look like we didn't do it on purpose. She goes on to say,
I'll just start including it in every scheduling post. Things are about to get polar opposites.
Here at the Traveling the Vortex. All right, full circle. I really have no idea what to think about this one. I don't hate it, but there's nothing that makes it There's nothing that really makes it stick out to me as a stellar story. Yeah, it introduces Adric, meh, and there are some melon jokes to be made, but I really wasn't that impressed by it. I will say that it feels like the Fifth Doctor era kind of starts here, even though Tom Baker's still the Doctor. Other than that, that's all I have on that one. I think she's right. It does kind of have a different flavor to it, and it kind of continues from there. But we'll get to those.
It tastes like chicken.
tastes like Fifth Doctor. The Renaissance Man. I really like this story. I've been listening to the Eighth Doctor adventures with Lucy Miller, and these Fourth Doctor adventures have a similar format: shorter, smaller-ish casts that just fun roms. I think I prefer Leela in the audios to Leela on TV. Now, I don't think that there is a whole lot different about her character on audio, but she does have more to do and more time to develop within an audio story. So that's probably why I like her in Big Finish. It just seems like Louise Jamieson is having more fun on the audios than on TV. That's just my reading into it, I guess. Let me interject here, because I think, unfortunately, when she did the TV series with Tom, it wasn't until her third or fourth story that she really kind of got accepted by Tom as an actress. And so there was a lot. I think it was when she sort of kind of stood her ground in Horror of Fang Ra. When she kind of, Tom kind of bullied her around a little bit for her first several stories, and she kind of stood up to him, and then she earned his respect because of that. And I think they got along much better. And then, of course, there's not a lot with Leela beyond that. So that's literally about
she's really only in about, a season and a half or so.
So it's only about a third away into her run as Leela that happened. So I can understand that, because I think when she came to these audios, her and Tom already had a good rapport, and so that kind of helps.
They have reconciled since then. So
and I think that Big Finish figured out how to write her character as well. So I think that helped. So that's my little interjection there. We'll talk a little bit more about it, I'm sure, later. My favorite part of the story was the beginning of part 2, when the guy tells Leela to give up her knife, and the Doctor tells her, let him have it, and Leela jumps at the guy and tries to kill him before the Doctor clarifies what he meant. I just think Leela has a lot more character development on audio, and she gets to show more depth than she did on TV. Anyway, that's it from me. I've got to go mourn my NFL playoff bracket since it's looking a little pathetic after Saturday's performance. My poor Colts, I guess Rachel and I can commiserate later. But it looks like the 49ers and the Broncos are coming through for me. I'm finishing this up halfway through the Broncos-Chargers game. I'm really not a fan of the Broncos, but if anyone can beat Tom Brady, it's my boy Peyton. Besides, I hate the Patriots more than I hate the Broncos at this point. I'll take the lesser of two evils. Chrissy, sadly, I'm going for the Broncos now, too. So, unfortunately, that's my default. But P.S. Yes, I did just talk sports in a Doctor Who podcast. I would apologize to all the geeks out there and get mad whenever sports and nerdity combine, but that would imply that I'm actually sorry about it. P.P.S. How about that Sherlock finale? No spoilers, but wow!
Thank you for no spoilers, since the three of us have not seen it yet.
So that's next on the plate for me.
It doesn't air here in the U.S. until...
we'll see it before.
Matt Smith lands in his TARDIS and picks it up.
Did you see recently that Moffat said that if there's a good role for Matt, he would put him on Sherlock?
Oh, that'd be neat.
Yeah.
But not as the Doctor.
We have been taking the red eye to see the episodes that have been aired so far, so we'll continue to do so. All right. Next up,
Allison. Allison writes in, comment question, hey guys, a little late on the Time of the Doctor feedback, but here's what I thought. The Time of the Doctor was only the second Doctor Who episode I got to watch live, so that made it fun in and of itself. But overall, I thought the episode was meh. I liked a lot of the individual elements. The paper mainframe and the naked gag were hilarious. I liked Tasha Lem and the Doctor together. The brief Weeping Angel scene was great and just enough of a callback. The Doctor being bald was fabulous, although I wish they'd shown his real shaved hair instead of it being completely bald. I loved that the episode answered so many lingering questions. On the whole, I thought the episode was too nice. Callback for the...
You skipped too choppy.
Oh, wait, sorry. On the whole, though, I thought the episode was too choppy. I wasn't a huge fan of the old man makeup, although at least they didn't have to have another Dobby Doctor. I did, however, like that he died of old age and a nice callback to the first Doctor. Unlike almost everyone, I did not like Matt's acting in the regeneration. The line, I will always remember when the Doctor was me, was great, but I thought Matt's acting was a little stilted and felt fake. It almost felt as if Matt couldn't control his emotions during the scene, so he came off very flat. I love that they broke the fourth wall in both 10 and 11's regeneration. I think they did a little bit in 9's too. So was I.
Yeah.
But while I believe that it was both the 10th Doctor and David Tennant saying, I don't want to go, the way Matt said his lines felt like the 11th Doctor had already left, and it was only the actors saying the lines. Which is sad because I really like Matt as an actor. In fact, I thought his best acting and most touching moment of the show was the death of Handels. Although the only time I cried was when Amy showed up at the end. I wish Rory had been there too, but Arthur is currently performing in the musical Once on Broadway, so he couldn't have been able to film anything. As for Capaldi, I thought his opening moments were too brief.
Hear, hear.
The kidney line was funny but forgettable. I loved how he asked, do you happen to know how to fly this thing? I blazed through the thick of it recently, and am now a full-fledged Capaldi Malcolm Tucker super fan.
Yay! Welcome to that club.
I wish we'd had a few more moments of the 12th Doctor. I have a question for you that I'd love to hear some discussion about. What if 11 had regenerated into 12 without the public knowing about it in advance? A la the fake out at the end of Stolen Earth. Leave aside the fact that the news would surely leak. Let's pretend no one had expected Matt to leave the show with the Time of the Doctor, and boom, Peter shows up as the new Doctor. Would a surprise regeneration be a good idea? Would the shock liven up the show? Or not having months of fanfare interviews and goodbye retrospectives given short shrift to both the departing Doctor and that Doctor fans? I rather wish they'd surprised us. I think it would be fun and different. But I can see that it might also look like they were slamming the door in the face of the departing Doctor by not allowing him to slowly exit while slowly introducing fans to the idea of a new actor and a new Doctor. What do you think, Allison?
Allison, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think that it would feel like a slamming of the door. While I think that would be energetic and exciting to just really throw a new Doctor at us, I think everybody needs a chance to say goodbye. I think that's why. I think that's why they did this. Matt was a very, very popular doctor. Matt was a fan favorite. Even the fans, that kind of went through the whole David Tennant haters really liked Matt Smith, and then you had the opposite side of that as well. But But that's what we did, especially in the 50th anniversary year, having Matt being so huge and so big. I think that would have just been a slam in the face and, okay, we're moving on to the next Doctor type thing. It would have been exciting. It would have been an interesting what if, but on the flip side, I just don't think you could have pulled it off. I don't think you could have done it.
There was no way they could have pulled it off.
We've been preparing for Peter Capaldi since, when was he announced? October. September? August? Something around there. Okay, so August. We've been prepared for half a year almost for Peter Capaldi. And part of that, I think, is because of Capaldi's roles in other shows. I think people have seen the thick of it, especially where he has quite a mouth and he's quite a different. He's the anti-Doctor. He's completely opposite of the Doctor in that. And I think there's a lot of people that have seen his body of work and realize that he's a very different actor from Matt Smith and David Tennant, and the closest he would be Chris, but Eccleston, but not even that. So I think there's a calculated preparation for this transition. And to hear that Peter Capaldi was the only one that they auditioned, Moffat knew who it was going to be a long time ago, and I think this was the only way that they knew they could prepare us for it. And so I think even his inclusion into Day of the Doctor, while I think it was like kind of a clever little nugget and a fun thing to do, I think it was another part of that preparation plan.
Preparing you.
Yeah. So ultimately, I don't think we could have had a surprise. I don't think you'll ever have a surprise in Doctor Who as popular as the show is, but it would be interesting. Yeah, not anymore. We could have seen him riling on the floor there with a wig falling off, as Sean says, and surprise, here's your next Doctor. But
if we take into account the whole, yes, it doesn't leak out and you can keep it a surprise. I don't think you can.
There's no way.
There's no way anymore. And as Moffat's even complained about it, we used to be able to surprise people, and that was specifically why Night of the Doctor, I think, became such a huge piece of this 50th anniversary year, because it was unexpected, because nobody called McGann coming back.
Oh yeah, absolutely not.
Let alone getting the regeneration. Nobody called that one. So seeing those kinds of surprises, if you could do it in such a way that you didn't have the pre-release, here's the new Doctor, if you could manage to keep the secret, if you could manage to do all that kind of stuff, I would love to see a surprise.
Oh, it would be.
I would love to be able to go back to the days of my childhood and the shock and the horror and the what happened to my guy, where he falls off this radio antenna and then all of a sudden he's somebody else. And I would love to be able to re-experience that. I don't think you'll ever get to it. But
seeing some fandom comments online, I think, had people not known it was a regeneration story, knowing that it was a regeneration story, going into Time of the Doctor took them out of the story because they're just waiting for it to happen. Because they're waiting, is this how it's going to happen? Is this how it's going to happen? Instead of paying attention to the story and enjoying it, it took them out of it.
Yeah,
and true. I think that's the same way with End of Time. It does the exact same thing. Not so much Parting of the Ways, right? Yeah. Bad Wolf and Parting of the Ways.
Yeah.
I didn't have that feeling as much that time. I don't know why, but it just feels like they're built up now. It's a big thing, and so it takes you kind of out of, at least your first viewing kind of takes you out of the idea that, it's a story in addition to it.
We're already expecting it, so let's just enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, though, is that...
So you're looking at the time, so
this particular episode, I don't think would have worked as a surprise regeneration.
Well, you'd be watching it and you would be like, wait, the show's over? That's where the great surprise, the Time of the Doctor would have came in, is you would through most of it and be like, well, he's going to get out of this somehow, and then he gets old, and then you get that line of I'm out of regenerations, and you're like, they haven't announced the next Doctor. What's happening? What? It would have built up the episode a lot more.
That's true.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Because you would think, this is now the series finale.
It's all about saying goodbye.
Of course, I think I told you guys...
Oh, that would have been genius. They totally should have billed it as the series finale.
And then
the end of Doctor
bam!
Who. That's how they should have done that. The 50th anniversary, going out with a bang. They could have laced
800th
tents for
episode.
a whole year. And then, oh no, just kidding.
Yeah. I think
And then after the episode airs, you give them the, here, by the way, here's Peter Capaldi.
Here's your doctor.
And here's the introduction. And you do all that stuff post.
I think I told you guys that what I wanted to see was Matt regenerate at the beginning of the Christmas episode. I think that would have been genius. I think that would have been a totally different way to do it, and then really kind of surprise us, catch everybody off guard. But I did also
mean like Time of the Ronnie?
I did also read online that there's a potential, and I don't agree with this, but I want to put it out there because there is a small contingency of fans that believes that Capaldi will
small
be the
contingency of fans.
Capaldi will be the Colin Baker of our era. That he's won't be
they've
he
already
won't
kind
be
of said
well
that he's the prickly.
he won't be well expected or recepted. He won't be the doctor that everybody has been used to for especially new fans, and that it'll be so different that it'll be very difficult for fans to accept him. And which I totally disagree. I completely disagree. I do not see them doing it. But that there's a chance that he might only end up with a year or a year and a half run. Or a series and a half run, and then they'll make some changes on the top. I hope that doesn't happen. I don't see that happening, but there is that contingency of fans out there that say that. So I think that's another thing that lends into the fact that they were preparing people for Capaldi ahead of time, because he is such a different doctor than we've had for the last 3 regenerations. So
I wonder how many of the contingency are thinking that and saying that are not happy because he's an old doctor.
I think that's
An older
part. I
actor.
think that's part of it. I think because he's abrasive. I think because he's going to use the Scottish accent. They're revolutionary. It's a new era for Doctor Who. They're
It really
changing
is.
a lot of things with this Doctor. So.
To all those people, I would say, hey man, learn to adjust.
All right, well, let's move on to our reviews, and thank you, Allison, very much for.
Is Allison a first-time writer?
No, she's written them
She's
before.
written
It's
before?
been a while, but we've had her before.
Well, welcome back, Allison. Thanks for writing.
So what are we doing first? Full circle?
Renaissance Man.
Renaissance Man? Okay.
Renaissance Man.
Runny Science Man.
That's a great pick.
To continue Leela's education, the doctor promises to take her to the famous Moravarian... I think that's right.
Moravarian.
I can't tell. There's something covering up on this page. But... museum. But the TARDIS lands instead in a quiet English village where they meet an enigmatic collector, Harcourt, and his family. When people start to die, reality doesn't quite appear what it was. There's something sinister going on within the walls of Harcourt's manor, and the stakes are higher than they can imagine. The doctor is about to discover that a little knowledge can be a dangerous thing.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I would agree.
All right, next up is Full Circle. This is my second go-through on this one because I actually listened to this several months ago. Ironically enough, before I listened to Destination Nerva, because when I was heard that Tom was doing this, and I went out and started seeking out some of the Fourth Doctor audio. The site that I had researched some of the stuff had it wrong, and they had Renaissance Man first. So I downloaded Renaissance Man from Big Finish first and listened to it. And then it wasn't until I was talking to you guys much later that I realized that Destination Nerva, it wasn't when we reviewed Destination Nerva, but in between that time, I found out that Destination Nerva was the first one. And so this is one I listened to first and then came back and obviously re-listened to it this week so that I could have a refresher. But I liked Destination Nerva much better than this. And that's not saying much, because I didn't think this Destination Nerva was a fantastic first, Tom Baker audio story. But this one was just slightly a little
It almost
less.
felt like it should have been a Seventh Doctor story.
I had no problem with it being a Fourth Doctor story. I thought Tom and Louise
they pulled
both
it
did a
off, right?
fantastic job. They pulled it off. It felt like a Fourth Doctor story to me. Don't get me wrong. I think the pacing on this story is way too slow.
Maybe that's why.
And that's why I brought up the fact that I thought this was the first one that they did, because I actually, when I listened to it the first time, I excused that, because I don't get this is the first one out of the gate. They're getting their footing, they're getting a feel. Tom hasn't done any of these Big Finish audios before. So this is his number one. This is the first one. So I was actually very apologetic for that fact. And so I just tried to kind of focus on the story. which I think that there's probably been a sci-fi trope out there because if there's not, why hasn't there been? Because this is a great concept. You've got a museum, and how does it fill its shelves? It uses the memories and the data from real people and puts it in there and collects it that way. I think that's genius. And the whole time I was listening to this story, I kept thinking, I've never heard of this idea before, but surely it's been used.
The closest thing I can think of is Ghostlight. Gathering the material in a mansion, and that's the closest thing.
All right. I'll give you that.
That's why you thought it felt like a
That's why I thought it felt like a Seventh Doctor.
Anyway,
it felt like a callback to Ghostlight.
So just that whole idea.
Better told.
That's what made me love the story, or this is what that gave me something out of the story to like, was this whole idea. I also like the idea that I agree with Chrissy. I think that Louise Jamieson feels like she's getting more to do. And so I like the little play on the knife thing where the doctor says, let him have it. And she misinterprets that and actually tries to attack him.
That's a great bit.
I love the fact that Leela is this very strong woman because it's early in her education. She still has that very rugged, primitive aspect to her. But she's also just soaking up everything like a sponge that the Fourth Doctor is teaching her, and all of her surroundings and everything. So I like that.
I love that she's both. She's still, like you said, rough around the edges. She's not the complete savage that she was when introduced, but she has yet to become what she will later. So she's right on the cusp where she's still all instinct and this, but it's slightly refined. Mm-hmm. It's open to the possibility of things, and I love the fact that she's so pragmatic. I love when she has conversations with other people, and in the World War I bit of the museum where they're talking about this, and I don't get to fight, I just get to fly, and she's offended by that. Do you not let your women fight the battles?
Oh, yeah.
And, that's
her misunderstanding of situations is almost a lesson to the people that she's supposed to be learning from, which I think is brilliantly done in this.
Yeah. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, that's fine. I really was wrapping it up because that's all I feel about this. Is it was a good story. It's just the pacing is really slow. I'm glad it was only an hour because I don't think I could have gone on with a Big Finish mainline story without that kind of pacing.
I don't think there was enough story.
What it unfortunately does for me is it makes me leery about going on with Tom's stuff because I think if they don't learn that, they don't get their fitting and they don't pick up that pace because Destination Nerve, I thought, had better pacing than this one did. So that's why I'm shocked that this one slowed down a bit, unless they recorded this one first and then did Destination Nerve, but they released in different order, which happened when they were doing the series on TV. They would do things out of order, but even to this day they do that.
Well, this could have been written before and just.
I don't think the writing was the problem, though. It just seemed like the
It's schizophrenic because
it is a bit schizophrenic.
There are moments of the story where it's not exactly that the story plods, but it takes its time to get where it's going. And surprisingly, for an hour story, it feels like there's much more there. It feels like you've sat through a full. It feels like you slogged through it a little bit. But then there are other times where I was listening to this, and it felt very rushed. It felt like there was a lot of info dump that was given to us
after they recorded Destination Nerva.
I sort of assumed that.
I would have too. I mean, I'm sorry if I was at Big Finish and struck the deal that said Tom was coming back. Who wrote Nerva? That was
let me look.
Barnaby or Briggs?
Briggs.
If I was Nicholas Briggs and I got Tom, I'm going to write the first episode that you're going to appear in. You claim that. Mine. So that doesn't surprise me at all.
No,
but
I'm saying Renaissance Man was written before, or was recorded before.
Oh, it was recorded.
Yes.
That's not what you said.
That's what I said.
No,
I said it was recorded before.
You said it backwards.
You said it backwards. Because I totally went, okay, well, that makes sense. I would have done it. But yeah, no, okay.
That's why I thought you said it would be. I thought that's why he said that's why it makes sense. It's because I said Destination Nerva was recorded after this.
Okay. I said that makes sense because that's the way I would have done it. Would have been in order, but.
Okay, so the fact that this one was the first one, well, at least recorded before Nerva,
then that explains why
goes back to what you were saying initially. Yeah, the pacing feels. But there were other times where it felt like we were getting these huge info dumps, and I almost thought, wow, you really almost need a third part for this.
I didn't feel like there were any info dumps in this.
Well,
there kind of wasn't.
The way that they were. with multiple people playing different characters, even though you had the same actors playing different characters as each incarnation, the cop and the collector and the this and that, all being the same people, I think was a little hard to pull off in an audio.
Yeah, and without seeing them, it was kind of hard to.
Especially
I had
when
a
you
hard
didn't
time telling it.
Especially
Until they
when,
made reference to, hey, wait, aren't these the same people? I didn't.
Yeah, but they do
realize
that right away. That's
Right.
why I don't have a
But
problem
they did it
with that.
throughout the episode, and so I was struggling to keep in mind.
Once they'd done it once, then I thought, okay, this is what's going to happen here, and so I guess I put it in.
Well, I did too.
I put it in mind as how that's how it was working
until the two characters professed their love for each other, I didn't know who they were. Each version of them. They had to come out and say, "Oh dear, I still love you," or "I've always loved you." I was like, "Oh, okay, that's these two."
But there was only two girls and one other guy. Well, besides Jepson and the main guy.
Right. It just, especially when they would transition.
I didn't have a problem with that. Go ahead.
Especially when they would transition and you wouldn't get. It was just boom. All of a sudden, you were dropped into a new location and different people were there. And it's like, okay, these are obviously supposed to be different characters because of the way they're speaking, but it's the same voices. And then the Dr. or Leela would show up and go, "Oh, it's a blah blah blah," and it's like, "Oh, okay, I see where we're at now." I don't know. It just felt that to me felt weird. I think surprisingly, we were very limited. I know this is the Renaissance section of the museum, but I thought it was really weird that they stuck with Earth history for an alien museum on an alien planet. That struck me as
but
weird.
It's supposed to be the greatest collection of Earth artifacts,
right? They say that too. So that was
why
to me that excuse.
Why World War I scene in a Renaissance museum though? That didn't make any sense.
Well.
Am I reading too much into that?
I think maybe you're saying everything came from the Renaissance period. They never said that. They were saying that these were Renaissance periods. He was a Renaissance man because he was trying to
gather everything.
Gather everything, which is what a Renaissance was. But when they were saying Renaissance, it was Renaissance in Earth's history. So it was all these different Renaissance periods. It wasn't the one Renaissance period that we
And I'm sorry, if you're going to include
Earth has
multiple
gone through
ones,
several,
World War I is not a Renaissance.
Earth has gone through several Renaissance, but there was one that we point to because so much happened in it. That would have been Da Vinci.
Right.
Yeah, that's the one we say.
That's the one we have festivals about.
That's
Unfortunately, that's way off base, but they're never
historically accurate.
They need to call them medieval festivals.
That's the one that
Renaissance.
based on the title and how it was set up. That's the one that I thought we were going.
I see.
But then later, when
we actually get there,
we're in the tower and we're going up to the offices, and you should be grateful that he's granting you an audience. He's got an appointment with blah 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 and blah 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 and such, and then the such and such queen of planet X, and it's like. Well, so now we are including alien technology in the museum, is what I got from that, that one line
also
drop.
Got the impression that this alien queen was coming here to visit the museum.
Well, maybe
and see the artifacts from Renaissance Earth.
That fixes that for me. I don't know. It just, like I said, there were times where I very much felt like I wanted a third part to kind of slow down and explain what's going on. But there were other times where I just totally agree with you, where it's like, oh, please get on with it and just hurry up and get to the punch. Because I don't know about anybody else. I had it figured out fairly early that they were wiping minds to capture this data.
Let me jump in here because I'm not want to imply that the story felt like it was paced poorly. It was almost like the action and the acting was poorly paced. It was like.
It was badly directed.
It was. I think maybe that's what it is. It was badly directed because I thought the story moved along. I didn't think that they were any one place too long. I never felt like I got an info dump ever. The only time that I felt like I was getting all the information I needed was when the Fourth Doctor's piecing it together. But that's just like any other episode of Doctor Who or a story of Doctor Who.
At the end, we get. Dump.
I think you're misnaming info dump for me because an info dump to me is not the explaining what's been going on in the entire story because we're unraveling the mystery and finally pointing that's exposition.
Yeah.
Info dump is when we finish the story. But they left a whole bunch of stuff out that we have to explain to the companion in the TARDIS later. That happens a lot in the Fifth Doctor audios. We're explaining to Nisa all the little things that I still had questions about when we perceivably are done with the mystery in the story.
Okay, so...
That's an info dump. So there was no info dumps in this.
I felt like there was too much exposition in pieces that I would have liked the third episode.
I'll give you that. I think all the exposition came there at the end, but that was it. No, I don't think it needed to be any longer.
I almost feel like they could have cut out a section, and it would have helped it.
World
What would
War
you cut
I don't
out?
know.
World War
Yeah.
One.
Maybe,
They didn't need it.
maybe. It
I
just
think
seems
that-
like all of a sudden, and like they're doing something, then all of a sudden they're in this whole new section, and we got to repeat the whole procedure all over again. When I already know what's going on.
Yeah, but I think
and it's like, okay, come on, you're filling time.
I think that they needed at least.
I-
we're
I
running
think
through
they needed
corridors.
at least the 3 eras in order to solidify the fact that these people were living different lives, but they were the same people, and so that when they explained to us the reason why they were data sponges was because because of that. I
They
think
were
that
already
was
doing
necessary.
that in one area. Like they were living 2 lives in one area.
I know, but that's the problem.
That
is-
was enough for me.
Well,
and then we got another area where they're living at completely
It
another
was
lives.
enough for you. I understand that. It was.
Well-
I figured it out by that point as well. But I don't. I think if you had just gone on and said, "Okay, this is what happened," I don't think you would have solidified that idea long enough, wide enough for most listeners. I think it needed that third element
I
for
don't know.
most listeners.
I think I agree with you.
I think
that
you
the
guys are just smarter than the average listener.
That's what I'm going to tell myself.
Wow.
Ah!
Backhanded compliment there.
No,
That's
seriously.
why. That's why you didn't like it. You're smart.
I must. I went into this story, and I got done, and I thought, "Oh wow, I'm going to hate this, and these guys are going to like it." But I think I ended up liking it better than you guys did. Listening to you guys talk.
I honestly, I don't think I liked it or disliked it. I think I went into it and I finished it. and I was like, well, that was an enjoyable story.
That was an hour of Tom. I'm not going to complain.
It's
but
kind
it
of
just-
like Full Circle. It is what it is.
I'll come down on that one a little harder.
Bro.
I enjoyed it because it was Doctor Who, but it wasn't mean it was great Doctor Who.
Now, don't get me wrong. I agree with you, Glenn. The concept is fantastic.
I would agree completely with that also.
But I think maybe that's what frustrates me is I feel like they missed the boat a little bit because I cared way more about the data sponges and what happened to these poor people and their lives about this. And the final reveal of it not being Harcourt, but who the real bad guy
What's
of
his
the
name?
piece was.
Jepsen?
Jepsen?
Is that who it was?
Jethro? I don't know.
Jepsen? You guys, I didn't recognize his voice at all.
I didn't either. What was
Who
it?
played Harcourt? Ian McNeice.
Really?
Yeah.
Churchill.
Yeah. Did you know that?
No, I did not. But
I didn't know
It
that.
doesn't surprise me.
I just didn't.
That doesn't
I just
surprise me.
figured I would recognize his voice.
It's not Ian McKellen or something. It's not one of those names that British actors are British actors and they do a lot of stuff.
Well, yeah.
Crossing different realms.
He's
so,
done quite a few
I
8
never-
Doctor audio adventures.
So that doesn't surprise me at all. So
I'll have to go back and listen for him now. But yeah, I cared way more about
wait, I pulled it wrong.
that scene where they're kind of all breaking down, going, "We don't exist. What is our purpose?" That was what I really felt like could have been the core of this story, because as typical writing for Tom goes, he figures it out fairly early, or at least suspects that he
and
knows what's going on.
it's clear that he knows what's going on very early on because he makes that
well, when he hits
fake
the pain in
entry
the head,
as far as that painting,
right?
Yeah, so.
And that was very.
I think at that point he suspected, but once he got the pain that he said was a toothache, that's when he knew for sure that they were pulling out the information. And he put up the defenses
but I mean,
because that was after the.
Well,
that
was after he even.
I think he was testing the waters
the
with
fake
the
up.
yeah.
Well, he faked the entry.
I
think that's when he
he
knew.
was
That
doing
was
that to
early on.
figure out.
Yeah, but that was early on.
I think
so.
that was when I agree with you. I think that's when he suspected, but it was the
He knew
tooth
for
pain
sure
that he
when
knew
he-
for sure that they were attempting to do it, and that's
And you're
why,
right. That's when he put the defenses up.
and that's why every moment after that, every opportunity he got, he was poking the bear with a stick.
Yeah,
oh well, you
right.
don't know anything about Bob Loblaw or whoever the guy was.
Right,
that
right.
Which that's totally you made that up. That guy is not real. I mean, come on. Even I know that, Doc.
I thought it was kind of interesting though that the one that I noticed that he made up was just the one.
He only made
because
up the
even
one dude.
even the Gregorian calendar, when Russia started using the Gregorian calendar, was just a trick question. It wasn't necessarily even factual information. It was just a trick. So, which I appreciated too, that he didn't just continue making things up to unravel this. That there was a little bit of a balance between both.
Yeah.
So.
Well, maybe he didn't want to push
And
it.
the
Maybe he didn't
dog
want to make
that
it too.
called on the phone.
Oh, that was. And okay.
Leela interacting with
What
the
did
dog
he
in the
say?
beginning
I don't
was
know. It
great.
was bark, bark.
Let's talk about the dog. The dog was genius. It was so good because it was fun and it was lighthearted and it was very Fourth Doctor. But we resisted the temptation to say, "Yes, I speak dog."
Yeah, exactly.
It was just, I don't know.
Well, Here's the
But
thing.
you've got a problem if dogs are using phones. He went to the root of the problem.
The new series has adapted me to do the certain things when something that comes before it, and I go, well, of course he'd understand the dog. He speaks dog. I mean, that's just automatically I fix it in my mind. So then when he says, well, what'd he say? Well, he said, bark, bark. Well, I don't know, but you got a serious problem because the dog's using a phone. that was genius. But I already had it in my head. Well, of course he speaks dog.
That's
where
where
I was going.
that's where I went with
a
it.
dog.
Okay, here it comes. He's gonna know dog all of a sudden. No,
What did you say? He said woof woof.
he said
I don't
woof,
know.
woof. And the puns were very. I love Fourth Doctor puns.
Yeah.
I just bring them on. I don't care how bad they are.
Yeah, I agree.
I love more and more of that. So there were things to like about the story. I'm not harping on it because I didn't give it the horn. It's not a space buffalo for sure.
It's nowhere near.
It's nowhere near Space Buffalo.
Nowhere near.
I think I agree with you. I think I like Destination Nerva a little bit more than this one, and even though we were all kind of iffy on Nerva, it's just that it feels like at the end of the day, nothing really happened. You know, it's just kind of like, we had this adventure in the museum.
And really, at the end of the day, nothing did happen.
Yeah.
They had the adventure, but you're left feeling that way because we end in the museum where they open up the big thing and it's nothing.
Well, that was...
And then
They go,
the
oh, of course, that makes sense. I like that.
I loved the fact that the pseudo-intellectuals had to find meaning in an empty room.
Yeah.
And went, oh, it's about
Meaning
you
for
can
no
never
meaning.
you can never learn enough. Blah blah blah. And I thought, okay, that was really funny and clever.
Well, it's the message of the story.
It's the message of the story.
It's the
episode
message
as
of the
well,
story.
yeah.
Well, the message of the story is the Doctor's message to her that, you know, just because you can't learn everything doesn't mean you should stop trying.
Yeah.
That was the bit. But at the end, the episode, I don't know about you guys, it left me kind of feeling like that room empty. It just was like, it was okay.
I could see that.
I didn't hate it.
I didn't
hate it by a
feel.
long stretch,
I didn't
but-
feel empty. I just felt like it needed to clip along a little better, and I wish the performances had been a little better. And it didn't feel any different than some of the fourth and fifth Doctor stories that we have on TV. It didn't feel any different than that. Didn't feel any less weighty or storiness there than some of those episodes that I've seen on TV. So it still felt like Doctor Who. Very, very much.
Yeah, it still felt like Doctor Who. And like I said, I loved the concept was phenomenal, and it felt right, which is unlike, I don't know, a big hand for the Doctor. You know, at least it existed in that universe.
Yeah.
You know, and that was something that not always can you say.
Well, and we didn't come down highly on these, but I mean, it feels like, well, we're going to talk about one of them that it kind of feels like, story-wise, it was better, but it's just kind of there. You know, there doesn't ever feel like there's any huge peril for anybody. I think Black Orchid's the same way. I think Visitation is the same way. I mean, there's those little Visitation.
The pseudo-historicals.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just really feels like kind
Which is
of
what
that
this one
for me.
felt like. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but you're right. It feels
Which
like
essentially
it feels
is
like a
what it is.
pseudo-historical.
It just comes down on that side. So that's why
Well,
I don't think it's horrible. And
Even
it's
the peril of
they're certainly
Leela
better.
losing her mind, which I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be, and then she didn't.
Right.
And
She got
never-
away. She got away really easy a lot of times. But
And they make a big deal about it when it happens, that she's lost her tracking stills and can't find the TARDIS, but retained everything else because she's...
Well, they apparently only needed that. They take what they needed.
Yeah, I don't know.
I also got the impression that, like, not the horticulturist, who was the gal that was tracking the
Butterfly
butterflies? Yeah. I mean, I got the impression that she had been there a while. So
The
it was
flutterbys?
The flutterbys, yeah. It was over the course of a lot of time that they ended up taking really kind of everything and what they needed. And so I get the impression that just that's why Leela didn't get lost. She'd been there longer. Had they managed to lock her up and entrap her and to extract things a little more, but this was just kind of as she had been there is why she had lost.
Well,
that.
maybe
So
that's
I
the
think that
problem.
was kind of the
Maybe we
impression.
needed that sense of impending
That's
doom
just it.
to
It
clip
wasn't
that
there.
story
Right.
along.
It wasn't
there
there.
because
It
we were
wasn't
never
there.
given the time clock.
Or more of a threat for the Doctor, too.
Yeah.
That they were getting through his defenses more or something.
That would have been an interesting
upped
twist.
the ante
if
a little bit more.
In true Leela fashion, she was immune to it.
Because
Because she doesn't have any knowledge for us to take. But the Doctor, so they focused all their attention on him, and his shields started weakening, and he had to rely on her to go and do stuff. That actually would have been an interesting story.
Good.
Maybe that's too Fourth Doctor Leela structure, because I seem to think now that I've said that seems to happen a couple of times.
And not to because it's almost like Return of the Jedi. We return to the primitive aspects being the more
right.
The
I guess it's
aspects.
Invisible Enemy is the one I'm thinking of, where they had to rely on her because he's out of it for most
That's
of it.
That's certainly true. Yeah.
Which is why I love Invisible Enemy so much, because Leela does cool stuff.
So I'm just glad to be hearing Tom in more Fourth Doctor.
Oh, that's what it comes down to.
It's a lot of fun.
It's great having Tom back, regardless if they're not the best stories ever told.
Well, I'm sorry. Tom hasn't missed a beat. I think he's still very, very embodies the Fourth Doctor. It's taken me a little longer with Louise Jameson, because while I think she's got the uninformed savage, her voice is just that much deeper that I still hard for me to picture young Leela when I
I keep picturing the Leela that's on Gallifrey, who's teamed up with Romana 2. Later on,
I see
Leela
from Dimensions and Time. That same stupid outfit they put her in too.
See, I try not to think of Dimensions in Time.
The Pocahontas outfit? No.
Well, it's only because that's older Leela, and that's how she sounded in that. So, yes,
Dimensions in Time. Oh dear!
Can't ignore it. It's there. It's canon.
It's canon. Not if Lucasfilm's committee has anything to say about it. Oh wait.
All right, let's move on and do this one. Let's get this one out of the way.
Full circle. Attempting to return home to Gallifrey, the Dr. Romana and K9 find themselves on the planet Alzarius. As the local inhabitants retreat in terror to their marooned spacecraft, the Doctor sets out to investigate, and a group of young rebels take Romana hostage in the TARDIS. Besieged by the reptilian creatures rising from the marshes, the colonists of the Starliner face a bleak future without the Doctor's help. Can he uncover the dark truth about Mistfall before it's too late?
I'll give it a dun.
I'll give it a dun. It's not the best. I think it has a pretty decent story to it. Fairly standard story, but a decent story.
I think it has a decent concept.
A decent idea behind it.
Unfortunately, I go into this one and I think surely this has been done before. Surely this trope is out there and I've just missed it, because on the surface, when I watch it, it feels familiar to me. And it may be because I've seen this 3 or 4 times, but it seems familiar to me. And so,
3 or 4?
Well, I saw it at least a couple times when I was a kid. And I think that I saw it when I first bought the box set, because I watched all 3 of those. And then I watched it today to catch up, so I can remember. Oh, it's not one of those. It's not one of those stinkers that I can't go back to for a long time, or feel I only have to go back to when we review them.
It's not
but I think I just realized. I think it just hit me now that it doesn't matter what it is. If the Fourth Doctor's in it,
you're going to like it. You're going to
like it and watch it. So, I mean, even Leisure Hives. I've come down on Leisure Hives as being one of my least favorite Doctor Who stories, but I still enjoy it because Tom's in it. So, I mean, it's just this is much better to me than Leisure Hive.
Oh, I don't know if I'd go that far.
No.
I think this is.
I think the Doctor is. The Fourth Doctor is much more on his game. He's back to kind of feeling more like the Fourth Doctor than he did in Leisure Hive.
I agree with you there.
Again, the concept
is great.
I feel like it should have been used before.
Romana isn't. I didn't like Romana too much in it. She was so prickly in this too, and so angry, and it just didn't feel like Lala's Romana.
It doesn't, but they set that up nicely with the whole idea that she's not ready to go back to Gallifrey.
But then the fact that they don't land there, she should revert back to her old self of, we're not at Gallifrey after all. Yay, we can go have an adventure now.
I think she's
that's what I expected to happen.
But she got the message that they've been called back, so that's always going to be on her mind. So I'm forgiving of that.
And then she was preoccupied with the idea of where they are.
I think she was sidelined badly in this one. But
hypnotized, essentially. Not a good thing for her.
I'm sorry. I know me. I love Lala Ward. I was in love with Lala Ward, and I love Lala Ward. There's still a part of me that's in love with Lala Ward. The woman cannot play possessed.
No.
Oh, no one can quite do it like Liz Sladen.
I made the comment that Liz Sladen did so much better with Eldrad Must Live, and watching her wander around and open doors was just like, I'm not buying it, lady. I'm sorry. It's just
And she's very one-dimensional when she's possessed.
you can't do it.
And
What's my motivation? Here, go open the door. Okay.
I thought the marsh people were rather clever. I didn't mind the design of them at all.
See, that's one of the things that if you're going to do, okay, we're going to do creatures that come up out of the swamp. Oh, I know, let's do Swamp Thing. Oh, I know, let's do Creature from the Black Lagoon. They all look the same.
Yeah.
Let's do something different.
They weren't anthropomorphized frogs.
No,
Yeah,
but they
could've
were
been
very
worse.
close.
And then I like the idea that they came out and
They all had zippers on their
they
back,
weren't
too.
really they didn't come across as that much of a threat until they kidnapped the one and started torturing it.
Well, and
That's what I really liked about the Marshmen. They look like they're going to be these big monsters, and then it's not until the last part when they're really threatened that they are.
No, here's the problem, Keith. Is you're right. You've hit a little. You're touched on it. You have completely touched on it because we're afraid. We're this group of, I don't remember where they were thought they were from, but you've got this group who, when Mistfall comes, they have to lock themselves in because this has happened before, because the great creatures are going to come out of the fog and the mist and the swamp, and they're going to be bad, and
They're going to kill us.
And so we've got this classic misunderstanding, which I'm fine with. And then the one comes in and sneaks in, and everybody's afraid of it.
Sneaks, it just
oh my
kind of
gosh!
lumbers.
Well, it does, but it gets in, and oh my gosh,
because the doctor left the door
it's
open.
going to kill us. Oh my gosh, it's going to get us this bad. But you can tell that it's as afraid of them as anything else. And
Yeah.
it's cowering. And then so you feel bad for this thing because suddenly it's like, okay. And then we sort of start talking about how smart this thing is and adaptable and how it's learning, and we want to experiment on it and learn more about it and find out about it and take brain tissue. And then we're going to operate on it when it comes out of its anesthetic, which made no sense to me why you had to
What
do
a
that.
fantastic creature. Let's cut it open.
Why did you have to do it out of anesthetic? But anyway, okay. So then we have that wonderful moment where it breaks free. Yes, it's scared. It's getting strong. It breaks free. It even attacks the scientist guy. I'm fine with that. Okay?
No problem with attacking the scientist.
But barely touching him and the guy falls down dead. Okay. But anyway, that's Doctor Who. So he goes and he has
that's
this
just
recognition.
a blundered butt of the gun
Yes, thank
thing.
you. Exactly. He has this recognition of the Fourth Doctor, and he's sympathetic, and then he's confused because he doesn't understand the view screen. He smashes the view screen. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, no problem up until there. Then suddenly we've got the guys beating on the door. Okay, I'm going. All right. Well, they went in there because their buddy's in there. They want to go in there and they want to rescue him. All right. So they come in, they swarm, and they start to attack. All right. I can associate the aggression enough with the fact that, okay, they're in there and they're wanting to rescue their buddy, and it's not really a full-scale attack. It's more of a rescue, and we're going to get aggressive because we have to. And then it all falls apart from there because suddenly they're walking around killing people by basically touching them, which bothered the heck out of me.
I think once the mass of Marshmen show up, things kind of just fall apart.
It fell apart because there was this whole chaotic time. And then when we figure out that, okay, we can spray them with the oxygen, we can oxygenate the air and drive them out. And as we drive them out and we start to figure the worst part is when they're all standing there and they're walking, should we let them go? Yeah, we should let them go. Which, yes, that's probably the good idea. That's the compassionate thing to do. But they've already killed like 13 people by pushing them over. And there's no reason for that. There's no motive for the Marshmen to do that. Even out of fear, they would have either run or scurried or something. And they killed that one kid because he tried to save another kid, and so that's completely out of character. If they're so intelligent and adaptable, why don't they recognize that? And then
that's the problem, is they had a great idea and it spiraled out of control.
There's the one guy that's left that's leaving, and the doctor and the two what do they call them? Deciders are standing there, and they just kind of step aside as he walks by them, and I thought, that's completely not, I mean, there's anyway, that's my biggest problem with this. Is the Marshmen
you close
are
the doors
so
back up.
uneven.
You close the doors back up.
They spiral downward and just.
You close the doors back up, and we let them go. And don't we feel high and mighty for not cutting them open and being barbarians and everything? Yes, as long as they don't come back and find a way in. Now we're all panic mode again.
Exactly. I mean, then we're back into panic mode. I think I sort of think that the Marshmen were smarter than the guys on the ship, but
It feels like they wanted to do more with the Marshmen, and script editors came in and said, "We got to make these guys monsters."
No, there's probably some merit to that, but I think it wasn't anybody coming in and doing it. I think that was initially done at the beginning and was done wrong.
Well, we did watch a bonus feature that the original script did not have the twist that these people were evolved from the Marshmen.
Well, that makes it even worse then. That makes the unevenness even worse.
That they added that in, and so that maybe they didn't know.
So, I mean, I guess if they were going from the aspect of mindless beast before, then I could accept that, and them just being primitive and fearful, but then...
This is the thing.
We
You
keep
go back
pushing
to
the whole, they're smart, they're adaptive.
There are some
they added that
very
in,
cool ideas, some very cool concepts in this. The idea of this group of people that they think they've crashed here because the information's being withheld from them, that they're replacing perfectly good circuits because that's what the book says to do. I like that. I think that's very cool. Now that kind of is a
somehow
side.
they lost the piloting license.
I think it's idiotic, and I'll tell you why. Because you went that long being able to hide that secret and
there should have
not
been
figuring it out. The fact that
there should have been a longer
that you couldn't fly
shorter
this thing
life
once
cycle.
you took off. Yeah, there should have been a shorter life cycle. I like the premise in The Doctor's Daughter
because there's something
where where it's revealed that the lifespan is truncated compared to what we expected. That would have been appropriate.
That's
here.
doing the story right.
Yes.
Is taking that same concept and doing it correctly. So, I like the concept of it, but it's really poorly executed. I even like the idea that then it all turns out, I mean, just in and of itself, if you had crashed there and we lost the pilots and we've been doing all this business for all this time because it's the only thing we can do to keep people busy, okay, it's kind of you guys are idiots because you should have built a society by now, but all right, I'll allow it.
Just adapt to living on this planet already.
Just take the ship apart and build a city. I mean, come on.
Find someplace
You're gonna
else
ask
you
the
can...
same question that I have, that I've been waiting to ask, but go ahead.
Then we find out that they're actually evolved from the Marshmen, who apparently evolved from spiders,
Giant
who lay
spiders.
eggs in the river fruit that we eat. So it's a circle of life. How?
Wait, no. Okay, that's not the question. I don't care about that. That's fine. Where the heck did the ship come from?
Somewhere else.
Where did the ship
that's
come
a good
from?
Question. They never answered that since they're from the
Why
planet.
have we been
Where
there
did the
for
ship
this
come
long
from?
thinking we were from another planet? We've got a ship that's perfectly functioning. It just... why?
we don't
Where the
have to
heck
fly
did the
it.
ship come from? That
I
makes
guess we
sense
could've-
why they couldn't fly it, because nobody had ever done it before. But did we
you're
build
right.
it?
No, if they evolved from this, you're right. Who built the
built
ship?
the ship?
Because they had the line of, we've never
We're
been
just
to...
fixing the same things over and
wherever
over
they're trying
again.
to go.
That's my biggest question. If we've evolved and we came from
Okay,
this
wait.
planet, where did the ship
You just
come
destroyed
from?
the story if that's the case.
No, it makes sense now that Keith said they added in the evolution part of this whole thing. Because for years I've been going, well, that doesn't make any sense. Now it actually makes sense from a bad storytelling perspective because they added it in later. But
So, genetic research in the science unit that the ship has been maintained for 40,000 generations by a species that has three aspects: spiders, Marshmen, and the current humanoids. They're all from the same DNA and thus have come full circle.
It's not quite a circle. That's just an evolutionary chart, but okay.
exactly, the only full
They
circle.
would have had to have landed there at some point in the past. And
When they were spiders.
de-evolved into spiders, and then evolved into Marshmen, and then evolved into that.
All right, I'll buy that, but
Pterodon.
that's never
That's
never
the planet they had never been
initially
to.
came from.
Yeah,
I'll
but
buy that
they've never been to.
if they had ever said that, if the Doctor had ever even realized that in the first place.
They are actually, let's see, present-day Alzarians are actually a subspecies of the Marshmen who wiped out the Starliner's original Pterodonian crew and then
There
gradually
you
evolved
go.
into human form to take their place.
They didn't explain that.
Didn't explain that.
They didn't explain
This
where the
is
original crew
this is from TARDIS Wiki
Oh, okay.
that is giving us that. Yeah, no, that
See, I
wasn't
never
explained.
got that out of it.
And-
That answers that question, but the story didn't answer that question.
No,
So-
well, and that still doesn't. I'll accept a lot of finagling and DNA wrangling in a science fiction story, but you went from a spider to a Marshman. That's several mutation leaps, and then to go
Well,
from
we
a
don't know
Marshman.
how long
Maybe
they're
it
on
happens.
Mars.
I would buy Marshman to human, or pterodonia or whatever these are. I would buy that because at least you're bipedal.
Because I got the impression that
not
the
insectoid
spiders
cracking out of
went
an egg.
into the marsh and evolved into the Marshman. So whatever happens in the marsh could take several steps.
What happens in the marsh stays in the marsh.
Exactly.
I didn't have a problem with that. We're in E-Space. The rules are different.
Well, okay. I'll even
Yeah.
we're in E-Space. The rules are off. I'll allow that. So much wrong with this, top to bottom. Like I said, the ideas are good. I like the ideas. I like the concepts.
The idea of the ship is doing good. The evolution thing was
poorly
just
executed. And again, once again, we got to say we're impressed with the production design. I thought the ship looked really cool. And James brought this up, that for all the ribbing that Doctor Who gets about poor production values and stuff, I'm sorry, but none of the stuff looks recycled.
No,
when
it really
we step
doesn't.
onto an alien ship, it
No,
looks
that was-
alien. It
yeah,
doesn't
that's
look
good.
like the
It
ship
looked good.
from last week. It doesn't look like
everything
from
looked good. Even the planet. Even I mean, it was just like this, like marshy
Great
jungle
great
area. But it was
location
fantastic.
shots,
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a rock
Foresty
quarry,
area. No,
so
no, it was great.
there's that. But I mean,
Well,
it's
they
just,
needed a marsh.
for every. I mean, you watch Star Trek and they go into an alien lab and it looks like that one alien lab that's
Yeah.
in every Star Trek episode. These are all all variations of something, and they don't.
I
This
even
doesn't
liked
look like the water base.
The room where the deciders were held
Yeah.
court. I
Yeah.
thought was cool.
yeah, really great sets there.
Binder room.
What were those kids? What the heck were the point of these kids?
I don't quite get
we're
that
setting
either.
up this rebellion or these dissidenters that don't believe in what's going on, and I appreciate that. But it took 40,000 years for them to finally do this.
And they're
number
so
two.
inept at it.
Number two, yeah, they're inept. They're completely inept.
And how after 40,000 years, how many non-believers did we get?
What were they
5.
going to do? They kind of implied that when the
And
ship
then as soon
took
as the
off,
fish
they were going
showed
to
up,
stay behind. Why? What was the point of sticking behind? I mean, were they going to be farmers? Were they going to
We're going to have river fruit to steal from the people.
No, there
Oh,
wouldn't
wait,
be any people.
there won't be any people.
The people were going to. Yeah, I think
Their plan was not well
They're-
thought out.
they're-
I started
that
questioning
little
it, and then I
resistance group was horrible.
I started questioning it like you did, and then I just said to myself, you know what? There are a bunch of teenage delinquents that are rebelling against their parents. As soon as the first opportunity, they got back to that ship. They're not a real rebellion.
That's fine, but again,
Their
when
kids
you
being
write
angry
a
at-
story and
their
you
kids being
write,
angry at their parents.
but when you write a story and you write in elements of the story, you've got to be clear with the person you're
Well,
trying to convey
yeah,
the
I'm not
story.
saying they did
You
that.
but I can't just excuse that type thing. You know what I'm saying? It's easier for you to say, "Oh, they were just bratty kids," so they're
That's-
pointless.
Well,
To
yes,
me, they're still pointless.
They're pointless for
So-
the entire story.
So why are they there?
They had casting
see,
the
you
film.
can't
I don't
just
know.
you can't just cast them aside. You have to critique that along with this story. You have to critique that aspect of it because if it doesn't make sense, you can't just push them aside. You can't just fluff it off and say, "Well, they were just squirrely kids. I'll enjoy the rest of this," because they were an integral part of it. I'm sorry, you can't do that.
If I'm not mistaken, based on the documentary that we saw, Andrew Smith, who was the writer of this episode, had submitted several stories to Doctor Who over the course of his fandom. And
I love how we always use the backstory of these stories in order to be
In order to
apologetic
try
for,
to,
for the crappy stories that come out of this.
And he said he got some fantastically blunt feedback from the showrunners at the time. And then when they finally brought him in and asked him, well, we didn't like this story, but what else have you got? And he pitched this other story.
Is this that kid that
He's
the
17.
young? I did see this.
Yeah.
I watched this back when I first bought it. Yeah.
So at 17, he wrote Full Circle, and it did have a lot of other elements
That's right.
that were added to it. Some by John Nathan Turner, some by Chris Bridesmead.
I think that's right. That's right. I do remember this story now.
But when you look at it and go, okay, we've got angst-ridden teenagers. Okay. We've got a story that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Okay. There's a lot of it that could be blamed on youth.
He certainly was young.
See, I guess I never took them serious as an actual rebellion.
I never thought they were a rebellion. They were just not doing anything. They
Yeah.
were lazy.
They
didn't want to
were
harvest
runaway
river
kids.
fruit. They wanted to steal them.
I don't remember them ever saying that
I
they
don't
were
care
this
what
great
they were.
rebellion.
What was the point of them? In this story?
Just to show that there was a difference between us and the
we
elites.
needed
The
a reason to be in the
contrast.
cave for Romana to get bitten and get hijacked.
That's just another thing.
Great. They were a vehicle.
Exactly.
That makes it even worse.
Which is another element of the story.
That makes it worse.
I'm not saying they were good.
That makes it worse.
I'm not saying they were good.
You just sound like you're defending it, and it's not defendable.
And it's another element that doesn't work. Because, okay, Romana's been bitten by a spider.
Run away! Run away! Close the door. Oops, we've accidentally inadvertently moved the TARDIS.
She got bit by a spider. How does she now all of a sudden have telepathic contact with the Marshmen? Just because they're all the same DNA?
Well, as soon as you get that in your veins, because it was clearly running through her face, then suddenly you can... Yeah.
And once again, a really cool
In fact, that's why they leapt from being spiders to Marshmen, because they had this weird psychic ability that they melded with the fish, and then the fish became Marshmen. So there you go. It fixed.
They bit frogs.
They bit frogs. There you go.
They really are anthropomorphized frogs.
And if the Marshmen had bit the humanoid people, then they would have advanced again. They would have become another species.
You know what this story really needs? Is it needed a space buffalo.
Wow, I didn't have as many problems with this story until we sat here and started talking it out.
And we didn't even get to how they treat K9.
Oh,
I don't care how they treat K9.
Keith, why don't you take the lead on this one?
That makes this the worst story ever because they cut off his head.
Yeah.
The only thing that redeemed it was the fact that they fixed him at the end. I just don't like the constant getting rid of K9 every
and it started off so strong.
Well, yeah,
K9's out there through the swamp, and it's like, I don't buy it, but okay.
K9's the reason. I'm glad they took him out. He was the reason that got him stuck in the space in the first place.
It wasn't his fault.
Yeah, it was totally his fault. He flew right into it. If he wouldn't have been flying that ship, they never would have gone there.
He wasn't flying it. He was
flying it.
He wasn't flying
it.
No,
he was flying that
he
sucker.
wasn't.
Yeah.
Nope.
He was in charge. The doctor left.
Just because
Dr. Romana told you you're in charge. When you're in charge, you're the captain.
That doesn't mean he's flying.
I'm trying to rile you up. That was inconsequential to me.
Glenn, I can see the hackles on the back of his neck. He has a stick under the table. He's going to hit you with it. He's not going to poke you. He's going to hit you. He's going to knock your head off.
I think the first time I saw this as a kid, I was bothered by it.
I was traumatized when I saw it as a kid.
Because I saw it so long ago, I think I've come to accept the fact that, especially now that I've seen a lot of episodes with K9, and he does get sidelined a lot, and I used to wonder about that.
I never liked that aspect of
Well, and I used to wonder about that. Here's going to the behind the scenes to defend what's going on in the episode. But when I found out later that they had so many difficulties with terrain and things like that, it was almost understandable. Yeah. So then when I go back and watch Doctor Who, I go, oh, I wonder how. I can't remember how they got him out of the story for this one. Oh, yeah, that's what it was. So it's one of those things now for me. So
I was just glad it was John Leeson back.
It was, yeah.
Well, and it's fun too to watch how you can watch Invisible Enemy and see how great K9 is, because we're in a hospital and there's smooth floors and he can roam around.
I see what you mean.
We got quarters. He can do all this cool stuff, and they went, "Oh, this is the greatest thing ever." So let's put him in more stuff. And then a couple episodes down the road, where are we? We're on the planet Krull, and there's swamp everywhere. And it's like, well, I guess you're staying in the ship or in the boat because you can't go anywhere or do anything. And I think they very quickly began to realize the folly of K9 was that, oh, wait a minute.
At least they got more use out of him than Chameleon.
Yeah, that's no one. Like I said, I mean, he starts off so great because he's rolling around and he's in the weeds and he's analyzing.
He was rolling around in the weeds. Great.
Oh, he was doing
Until they make the joke about when they cross over the Men in Tights Creek. I'm on the left side. I'm on the right side. And K9 stops and looks at it and finds an alternate route around, and has to go and do this thing.
Dun, 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 dun.
Great theme music.
No, it was not. It was very 70s. Oh my gosh!
After we finished the episode, we had to boot up the K9 Company theme for James, who hadn't seen the theme.
Very good.
Yeah, he walked into work today and says, "I can't remember the theme from K9 and Company." I said, "K9." He goes, "Oh yeah." Now I remember it. But yeah, just we do all this great stuff, and then all of a sudden, whack. Oh.
Well, he would have ended the story much quicker.
Yeah, he would have, because he would have analyzed
He'd have
the damn
shot all the
eggs.
spiders.
Much to great benefit, he would have been in the story sooner.
He would have analyzed the eggs, figured everything out. You know,
we would have just complained about these obnoxious rebellion kids, and that would be
That
it.
would have been the worst part of the story.
here's an interesting one.
See, K9 needs to
We
stick
haven't even got
around.
to him tearing apart Adric.
We talked about this kind of Chrissy felt that this kind of feels like this. It's the beginning of Peter Davison's era, even though Peter Davison hasn't shown up yet. Kind of like you were saying that you think season 7 is Capaldi's run up.
This is really Series 7 Part B.
It
of Tom
really
Baker.
is. We get the from Leisure Hive on this whole season. We get the new Starfield logo, which doesn't feel like Tom. We get the new theme music, which doesn't feel like Tom.
We get the burgundy outfit.
We get the burgundy outfit, which doesn't feel like Tom. So we get all these changes that are coming, and now all of a sudden we're going to start seeing the cast of characters change. I don't know about you guys, but I noticed this. The one guy's daughter, the one female member of the rebellion, if we're going to actually use the term.
And the only other girl we saw in the
story.
entire story. Well, I think some of those villagers, there were women in there. But
I think I saw a woman holding a bundle in a hallway.
I think it was the same woman.
Might have been. She's been busy. Like a whole village. Well, no, because
40,000 years.
No, because they evolved from Marshmen. So
right.
She doesn't have anything to do.
Is that who it was?
And whatever her name is.
That's the only female listed in the cast.
The lab scenes.
Blonde girl A.
Anybody get the you are totally the prototype for Nyssa.
Oh, I can see that.
She flipped all of a sudden from being just the look and everything. It was. I think J&T was hunting. I think he was looking for. He knew what he wanted to do down the road, and he went, "This is kind of what I want." Because she very much filled that prototype role, and then the doctor got to do something sciencey, and she was there handing him test tubes and being Nyssa.
I didn't see that at all.
I just
saw a helpful blonde girl.
Well, really,
but even her hair and everything just kind of had that look
just
about
the style at the time.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know.
I think you read more into that than that.
Okay, maybe I'm reading more into that. But I did not like the story. There's a lot of elements about the story that I didn't like.
Well, let's
talk about the elephant in the room.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room, because I don't have as much problem with Adric as most do in this story.
he's Adric in this story, as he is in every other story.
Hey,
his best story is Earthshock.
He's much more annoying in the next story that we're going to see.
Oh, boy.
Much more annoying.
I mean, as far as I can tell, the character has not grown in his time on the show.
That's true. You've seen his beginning and his end. So.
It's the same guy. I don't know. This is the same argument that everyone's been having about Adric ever since he's probably stepped on the screen of how he's a bad companion, and he hasn't changed. He gets a great goodbye, and that's it.
I went into this...
This is my stance on Adric.
I went into this with an open mind, because I honestly don't think I've watched this one since it aired. I don't recall going back to these.
Aired for us.
Yeah. So it's been 30, 40 some odd years. How long has it been? 35.
These would have aired in the early 80s, so for us.
What is it now?
2014.
So 34 years-ish
Ish.
since I've seen it. And I remember as a kid watching these and kind of thinking to myself, now obviously kid, if this aired here in or about the 1980 that it aired for real, I would have been 7, 8, probably 10. We'll give it even a couple more years. Even at that point, I kind of remember thinking to myself, I'm getting bored with Doctor Who, which is unheard of. But it just this era, this ring of stories here just didn't do it for me. There was nothing here that I really liked, and I couldn't put my finger on why. But I tried. I was like, I'm going to go back because I haven't seen these, so it's going to be new to me. I'm going to go back and watch this with a new no. No. It's wrong. Everything about it's wrong, and the story sucks. And then there's Adric. I want to play a game. Can we play a game? Let's play a game. It's time to play a little game that I'm going to call How to Make a Poor First Impression and Not Be a Companion of the Doctor. All right. Now, for this game to work, we're going to need a volunteer from our studio audience.
I'll do it.
We're looking for a young, snot-nosed punk kid who's whiny from a backwater planet with delusions of being a hero. Not so fast, Mr. Skywalker, for this person must also hail from an alternate dimension, a pocket dimension. Is there an Adric in the audience?
Yes.
Adric, come on down. You're going to be the first contestant on how to make a poor first impression and not be a companion to the Doctor. Now, the rules are simple. I'm going to ask you a series of multiple choice questions. You give me the correct answers. The judges will tally the votes and determine if you are companion material, let alone a likable character. Okay, ready? Here we go. Question number 1. Is it more important to A, follow your duties on the Starliner, or B, hang out with your brother and steal river fruit?
B.
Judges? I'm sorry, that's the wrong answer. Stealing's bad.
But it's more fun.
2. After attempting, emphasis on attempting, to steal river fruit, badly, I might add, do you A, fess up and admit that you made a mistake, or B, run away from your mentor, a man 50 years your senior?
B.
Judges? Oh, wrong answer again, Adric. You should never run away from your mentor, especially a man 50 years your senior, into the swamp. Question 3. After failing to evade your mentor, a man 50 years your senior, do you A, fess up and admit you made a mistake, or B, struggle against the old man, causing him to be sucked into the swamp to his death?
B. Kill him.
Judges? Oh, this is an impressive resume. You've been on the show for 15 minutes. You have made 3 bad choices and resulted in the death of a character, all right? But that's okay, Adric. There's a lot of ground to cover here. We're doing good, all right? I have faith in you. Not really. Question 4. After killing the old man, do you A, run to the Starliner for help, B, run to your brother for help, or C, blindly break into the first spaceship you come across?
C.
Judges?
Lost my ding. Ding! I gave him that one.
What?
I gave him that one.
You're going to give him that one?
Yeah. Run into the first ship, you find. I agree with that one. Ding!
Keeps you out of trouble in both places.
Gonna give you that one.
All right.
Because you go back to your brother and he's angry you didn't bring the river fruit.
Not only did you not bring the river fruit, I may have killed a guy.
You go back to the Starliner and you killed a guy.
Okay.
Option C.
Option C.
Make a good companion. That was the criteria.
Okay.
Right?
All right. The judges give it to you. We're going to give you that one. Ding. All right. Question 5. After getting help, mind you, from the Doctor and Romana, do you A, thank them and go home, or B, form an armed raiding party to seize the ship from your friends?
B.
No.
It's a safe place to go. The mistfall's coming. I'm scared.
Question 6.
I got a shiny badge.
After joining Romana in the TARDIS and being proven that she is a friend, when trouble comes, do you A, help her as she helped you, or B, make a run for it and leave her to the spiders?
B. Spiders are scary.
No. Question 7. Now that you've left Romana to her fate, do you A, take your armed raiding party to fight off the spiders, B, ride it out inside the safety of the TARDIS, or C, panic and randomly start pushing buttons and dematerialize the ship?
C. I've got to close the door.
Oh, bummer, because A or B would have been correct on that one.
It won't. The door was open. They could get in.
You had a 33 and a third % chance there, Adric.
And now, here's...
Well, that's lower percentage on other ones I missed.
I even gave you one.
Here's the funny thing. Of all of them, this is the one that I would have expected the judges to give to you, because in essence, you were trying to open the door.
The closed door button.
Yeah, it is.
Even
the
though you
handle.
didn't
It's not a
hit that,
button. It's
yeah.
There's
Isn't
a
it
whole
on-
panic acid aspect, though.
No,
I just
but
couldn't
Wasn't it
give
on the
to
wrong
him.
side of
Just
the
couldn't give it
console,
to him.
too?
Just couldn't give it to him.
Now, Adric, I don't need a badge in mathematical excellence to know that you've mathematically eliminated yourself from this contest, but we're going to go ahead and see it through to the close because there's still more dirt. Number 8. Once the Marshmen invade the Starliner, do you A. retreat with your brother to the safety of the lab, or B. allow your brother to make a futile last stand while you run for more oxygen?
B. He can fight him off.
How'd that turn out for you?
His mighty unibrow did not save him.
It's mighty He looked like a young Anthony Daniels, though. Unibrow and all.
It even dipped.
Hey, Bert.
Number 9. Now, the doctor chastised you earlier in the episode for stealing other people's property, namely the local image translator. I'd like to point out for those of you following along at home that this is the second item that Adric has attempted to steal. Second. Attempted. Do you A. return it from whence you got it, or B. give it to the doctor as a gift?
B. He needs it.
Judges. Ding! They're going to give you that one, Adric.
Yay!
Anything that benefits the doctor is going to get a ding.
It's,
Running into his strange ship and giving him something he told him not to give him. Ace did it all the time. Great companion.
I didn't put it on. I didn't put it on here, but I honestly thought that one of the questions should be when the doctor said, "Stay put and don't move." Do you stay put and don't move, or do you run away? Your response would have been, "I ran away."
You would have got a ding.
You would have got a ding for that one because, well, all companions do that,
except for Clara.
except for Clara. All right, final Jeopardy. The final question. After all the trouble that you caused in this episode, to end things, do you A. go home, or B. stow away in the TARDIS?
B.
Because you're Adric, you get that one.
Any other character, you would have gotten a ding.
I had to think about it for a minute because I just gave an explanation for why the judges were ruling in favor of yes. And then I thought, and I just kind of stepped in that one.
Even if you would have given a ding, what? That was 3 out of 10?
Oh, yeah.
You still lost.
Official score is 3 out of 10. I'm sorry, Adric. You're going home with no consolation prizes. You suck. You are the worst companion ever. And I'm counting the Scribble Monster as a companion.
So you're saying Chameleon was more functional than
Chameleon?
Adric?
Yes. Chameleon had a purpose for being on the ship. Chameleon was helpful once. Maybe twice if you count all 3 episodes and a deleted scene.
So Adam is even up there higher than Adric.
A companion true.
Let's say television only. We can't count Redemption from the comics.
Adric makes me wish that Adam had been a companion. To truly showcase
And he's
I did
worse
not
the next
know you
episode?
hated Adric this
how
bad.
I didn't think I did. I tolerated Adric. I kind of put up with Adric, and I honestly think he gets a little bit better as time goes on. In what universe? Obviously, it's an alternate universe because it wouldn't have happened in our universe. I mean, in what universe do you have to be this bad of a screw-up to still get on board the ship and get to hang out with the doctor?
I don't think the doctor would have let him. I get the
There
impression.
There's a stack of applications for this job on one of those bookshelves in the TARDIS. He's got people all over the place who've said, if you ever need somebody to go traveling with, call me. But no, Adric is on the ship. I looked at the 6 ways from Sunday trying to justify something of value that he did in this episode. There's got to be something good. And I came up with one. When the Doctor says, go back to the TARDIS and stay there, he didn't. He came back and said, Romana's run off. Mm-hmm. And that was okay. That finally became an okay moment.
That warrants why you shouldn't stay there.
I have to rank stealing the image stabilizer in that same vein.
Even though he knew it was wrong,
the Doctor even chastised him for doing it. He still left it for him, knowing that the Doctor would need it. That was one.
And I almost get the impression the Doctor chastised him for it because he needed it in the microscope. More than the TARDIS right now.
More than the TARDIS at the moment.
It's true, because he couldn't work the microscope.
I can't investigate. Give me that back, and then we'll steal it later.
And let's think about that for a moment. That means he stole it not once but twice, because he took it out, had to put it back in, and then went back for it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. I have no words for how bad Adric is in this story. And this is the introduction. This is supposed to be the, hey, get used to this kid because he's going to be with us for a while. This is supposed to be a happy occasion. This is supposed to be, oh, cool, the new companion. No. Just no. There's I got nothing.
I guess
I got nothing.
I'm like you. I didn't like Adric even when I was his age watching him in the show. And I should have been jealous thinking, wow, if he can do it, I can. But Edric is one of those characters that as I revisit the stories with him in it, I tend to find a few more good things about him or about the stories that he's in than bad. But ultimately, you're right. I mean, it's a horrible start for him. It's a horrible idea. It's a horrible concept. And when you've got somebody, a 15-year-old that's writing a story, you would think that he would be a little more in touch or a little better in writing for somebody of that age. But the character's not even written well.
Well, here's the interesting piece to that, is that Adric was not part of Smith's script. Mm. He was added at the insistence of John Nathan Turner.
So that makes sense why this character's so uneven throughout.
Who wanted an artful dodger. Kind of that's what J&T was going for, and Bridesmaid thought it was a mistake, and apparently Matthew Waterhouse thought it was a mistake to play him that way, which is why it did not come across that way. Honestly,
well,
a charming artful dodger would have been up here.
This is shot after State of Decay, I think, if I remember right. State of Decay was actually filmed before this, and then they were ran in the opposite order. And from what I understand is the Adric character, and I don't remember this that much from State of Decay because that's one of those ones that I've only seen twice because you're just going to get a worse review from me next week. But it's he is more of a smarmy, artful, dodger-ish character in State of Decay than he is in this, and I think that was because
maybe I'll like him better next week.
Maybe you will,
because
if I remember right, because it's I saw this will be if I watch it this week. I'm not looking forward to this one. If I watch this week, it'll be the third time I've seen it because I saw it once when I was a kid, and it confused the heck out of me as a kid. I remember that. And I remember when I bought the box set, I picked it up and watched it again, and it makes more sense, but it still didn't increase my enjoyment. So we'll have to see this.
See, I remember.
I saw a comment recently that Warriors Gate was really confusing.
Well, that doesn't help. Yeah.
Of these three stories, and I'm in that same boat where I haven't seen them since 34 years ago, but I remember liking State of Decay the best out of all of them. I remember really liking State of Decay, so I'm curious to go back and rewatch it to see if I like it as much as I think I did.
Having been a fan of horror films and that kind of dark thriller genre, but which they try to kind of mirror in this, but we'll see. I'll find out where I fall down on it again.
We'll find out. But yeah,
and if the kids' basketball games aren't too early next week, then I will stay up for Friday night.
Oh yay! But yeah, I'm sorry, I can't quite give the story the horn because I think there's some good elements to it. but Adric's not one of them.
Well, we've spent plenty of time on this one. Let's move on. There's nothing else we're reviewing this week, right?
Nope.
Okay, then what's coming up on the schedule?
More Adric. Don't we feel lucky? Next week, we continue with E-Space on our Friday Night Who with State of Decay. And like I said, we're apparently already planning for what we're going to say about that.
Sorry, I probably tipped my hand, but
some of us
will
with
come back to it with a better attitude.
Some with anticipation, some with dread. Keith with mild curiosity. That will be our Friday Night Who.
They're not fish.
They're not sexy either. That's our Friday Night Who, and then our show next week we will be discussing State of Decay and another Tom Baker, Leela, Fourth Doctor audio adventure, which is Wrath of the Iceni. Is that how it's pronounced? Iceni. Which is number 3 in the Big Doctor, or the Big Finish, Fourth Doctor line. So you've got a week to listen to that.
And it's also another one around an hour. So
yeah,
I
it's
think all
another
the
one
Fourth
that's not
Doctor
bad.
ones are
so
they?
far. Yeah.
The
ones they've recorded.
The following week, we will be doing Warrior's Gate, finishing off E-Space. And then that week for our show, we're actually going to be discussing Warrior's Gate and kind of talking about the E-Space trilogy as a whole. So there won't be any additional homework there. However, the following week, and this is all on the website, so that you guys, you're in the know. But the following week, there is some Big Finish stuff that's due, because we're going to finally get back to Paul McGann. And we're going to do the next 2 Bolt McGann stories, which is...
I've already listened to.
Glenn's homework's
I'm
done.
I'm ahead.
75, Scaredy Cat, and number 77, Other Lives. So that's on the docket for there. And then we have a very full February planned if things work out right. And more on that later.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week. Until next week, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing ya.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.